We are live. Welcome everybody to the 50th episode of Coaster Time, hosted by me, Carrick from Coaster Hour. And before we get into the episode, I actually want to start this off by giving a huge thank you to all of you who have been watching. This is obviously a huge milestone. 50 episodes is a very staggering number for me. And I wouldn't really be here without those of you who have been watching, whether you have been watching before Coaster Time was even a thing, like just other content on the channel, to like the early days of Coaster Time, to even being a more recent viewer. I really appreciate the support you've given me and all the interactivity you've given, whether you've been in the live chat and interacting that way, or you've been maybe watching on replay, because I know there's a lot of viewers who watch it that way, and you comment after you've watched or let me know via DM and give me some feedback. I appreciate all of it. So without all of you, the streams would not be nearly as fun to do. So I want to give a huge thanks to all of you who have been supporting the streams, whether it's been for years or just very recently. Wanted to start it off that way. And then for those of you who have been previous guests who may be watching, I also want to give a huge thanks to you, as well as the type of commitment that you have given to doing the streams has been exceptional. I mean, this is something that on its own, just a stream by itself, is potentially like a 2 to even sometimes 4 hour thing. So that is obviously a huge time commitment, and the guest streams have been a huge part of the Coaster Time identity. And without all of you, the streams wouldn't be what they have been. And so I really want to thank you for that. And obviously reaching 50 episodes, as I've said earlier, huge milestone. Really appreciate it. And thanks to you, Sanford Bridge, for the compliment. I am very happy to have made it up to this point and excited to continue forward. And that brings me into our first segment for today, which is future plans and first Q&A. So those of you in the chat, you can put your questions in right now as I'm kind of explaining the future plans. But I've been kind of thinking towards the future with the streams and the channel, and I want to kind of mention what I'm thinking of doing. There's a few changes I'm planning on making related to the streams, along with getting more content on the channel that is not Coaster Time related. So I want to kind of go into that. But before I go into the future plans, I did just want to mention real quick, if you haven't yet, make sure to check out my top 100 coasters POV countdown. I just released that on Coaster Hour Beyond. It was really fun to put that together, whether it was like seeing how certain coasters rose or fell, or seeing where the new coasters came in. It was a lot of fun to do that, so would really appreciate if you check that out. So wanted to start off with that. But in terms of Coaster Time, the streams, this next year, I want to do more guest streams. First half of the year, we actually had a decent amount, but second half of the year, like, there are barely any. That was mostly due to scheduling issues or just sort of restrictions on my own end. So I wanted to say that, and I've been in contact with many future guests, so I am hoping to bring a lot more on next year. So want to make sure to mention that. And then there's another significant change I'm planning to make, that this is not the thing that I wanted to do per se, but I think it kind of made the most sense, just kind of looking at where I wanted to go with the channel and the streams for the future. So I know a lot of you who have been watching have been watching. A significant part of you watching has been for the news segment I do. And I wanted to mention that the news segment will no longer be like an every time Coaster Time segment, and you're not going to see it in this episode. Reason being is because it takes the longest to make, and I have been doing news coverage on different social media platforms as well, so I feel like at this point, that's something I can kind of let go. And for those of you who are wondering where you can follow me for that sort of content, I have my Instagram, Coaster Hour, which is, at this point, very much dedicated to talking about the industry news. I post stories about it, and I have the news stories archived by month, so they don't just disappear after 24 hours. So you can check that out on the homepage of Coaster Hour on Instagram. I have the link in the description. And then I'm also part of the Airtime Thrills Discord server, which is going to be rebranded to Adrenaline Nation in the new year. And we also, I'm part of the group that gathers the news and reports on it there. I do a decent bit of the gathering behind the scenes. That's why you don't actually necessarily see me like posting a whole lot, but I do some of the gathering behind the scenes. But it's a collaborative effort with a lot of different people. So, but those Discord servers, or that Discord server, I should say, has a really good news sort of catalog and just keeping every track of everything. So that would be another good place to go to. So between those two places, I think that's going to be the way to go. The news segment, I may bring it back for certain episodes, just depending on context. Like IAPA, I probably still, for like example, would kind of have a big blowout thing covering everything. There would be certain situations where I do it, but it won't be an every stream thing. That's kind of what I'm getting at. And the big reason why that is because I want to get back into making videos. I've kind of said this in the past and not really followed through. Probably just to start out like one video a month, perhaps. Maybe two if I could get started that way, but just at least something to kind of get back into the groove. And so the types of videos I'm looking to make are random RCDB coasters. I've kind of said I wanted to bring it back, and for various reasons, it just hasn't worked out, but I do believe that I could bring it back, and I am planning to do so very soon. And then there's other types of videos I want to do. Would like to do some occasional research videos like the Under the Radar coasters, along with countdowns. I'd like to, of course, do video interviews. Those ones will probably be pretty occasional because the scheduling for those is pretty hard to get down at points, but I would like to do some of those occasionally and more other types of content. So wanted to mention that. But with that being said, I'm going to go into Q&A, see what those of you in the chat have had to say. And we'll go into our ultimate quiz that I'm planning to do. We have some pretty loaded lineup for tonight in terms of segments, so should be a good time overall. Your top 100 was great. Thank you so much. In terms of, fortunately, it wasn't as hard to make this year because I already had the previous year. I basically had the whole like sort of template like created from last year, so it was basically just rearranging things, obviously getting new POVs for the new coasters and other ones where it was applicable, and just other kind of editing things. It was actually relatively easy to make. It still took a decent bit of time, but I mean, last year that was the hard part because that was building it from the ground up, but very much appreciate it. Yeah, I think I've had Medusa over Superman El Ultimo Escape just barely. That's always been my ranking. That's very much disputed, so I do want to mention that. Yes, the Beast. The night rides are fantastic, and I just realized I need to turn the light on. I feel like I'm forgetting something. There we go. The Beast, yes. So at night, I think it is phenomenal. I've said in the past, probably it's been a little while since I've kind of praised it, but if you've watched that video, you know that I rank it very highly. One of my all-time favorite coasters. So, I absolutely love it. So, amazing experience at night. Obviously, the elements, like it's not a super airtime focused ride. It does have some very good laterals though. But it is just at night in like almost pitch black at points, through the tunnels, through the forest, that atmosphere. And then everyone just like knows it's the Beast at night. It's such a good time. It's unlike really anything else in the entire world. So, very phenomenal for that reason. I do want to make more videos. Like, basically, the frequency is probably not going to be consistent. I will just straight up say that. just kind of like as the streams have not been a super consistent like sort of schedule. But it's something I want to get back into. The random RCDB coasters, I do want to get back into that because those were videos that are relatively easy to get out, and especially with the sort of changes I'm planning to make there, it'll be even easier because it'll be shorter videos than what it's been previously, because the previous ones were like over 20 minutes. This will be shorter, so yeah, I think it should be good doing those, but I do appreciate that feedback. Would like to see the random RCDB coasters back. Oh no, I want to bring it back. Like, I want to do stuff outside of live streams. I love doing the live streams, don't get me wrong. But I've just kind of, there's been a bit of me that's kind of missed doing videos. There's still like some, I'm sure when I get back into it, there's some things that like, I think in the past I've kind of gotten burnout on it, but I would like to get back into it. So I think that will not be an issue, hopefully, getting burnout like another time, because I think with the way I want to go about it now, I think I'll be a little smarter about that. How long do you think tonight's live stream will last? I think you're good till around 11 p.m. Eastern time. Let's see, it's 8 right now. Probably, I don't anticipate that it's gonna go that late. So, I think around 11 would be about when it ends. So that should be the plan there. And then 2 night rides on the Beast were so otherworldly and amazing that that you were afraid to write it again. And I forget, you wrote it before the retrack, right? Because that's like a whole controversy in and of itself. Some people think it's a lot better after the retrack. Some people think it was a lot better prior. I didn't write it prior, so I can't really say anything on that. But I believe you wrote it prior to that, so let me know if I'm correct on that one. But I kind of get it. I mean, honestly, I would not recommend writing it during the day. I mean, if you want to out of curiosity, like, you can, but like, it's nowhere near as good as night. Like, it is the biggest day to night ride difference, like in terms of where it ranks of any coaster I've done, and it's not even close. So yeah, pretty much from what I had heard, there were some people who felt that it felt more unhinged, and specifically some of the helixes were better prior to the retrack, in terms of forces and being like out of control. I can't really say anything on that. Like I said, I haven't ridden it before the retrack, but that is pretty much what I had heard. But most of the reviews and reception has been very positive, as I think it should be, because I think they did a really nice job. So yeah, but yeah, there are still some people who did like it previously, which to an extent, I can kind of understand it, just because it's a classic wooden coaster. Thank you for the $45 donation, Michael. Very much appreciate it. And yeah, that is very much appreciated for sure. Yeah, riding the Beast during the day would be like watching a puppet show while standing behind the puppeteers. Yeah, I don't know that I'd go that far, but that's a decent comparison. So the night rides really do make that ride. So that definitely makes sense there. Alrighty, so it is 8:15 Eastern time. I don't know how many people here are in the chat. I guess we'll find, like, because the numbers are a little off sometimes. But I guess I can get started on the ultimate quiz. Pretty much what this is it's going to be a 20-question quiz, where it's a mixture of roller coaster trivia and also channel trivia. So they kind of alternate after each question. So that's going to be the thing there. And let me pull it up. Here we go. Alrighty. So here is the ultimate Coaster Hour quiz. And we're going to get started here. Actually, I need to bring up the timer because I do need a timer. And then we're going to get started here in, once I get the timer ready, 3, 2, 1. Obviously, here are the rules. And let's go. Alrighty, first question is, which park has Big Bad John never operated at? So that is the question. Obviously, if you don't know, this is a Aero Mine Train coaster. That's all I can say on that. But yeah, which park has Big Bad John never operated at? And let's see. The answers are coming in. Hello, Sean Flaherty, and hello, History and Leisure. Good to see you both here. Hope you're doing well. And timer is out. The correct answer is B. Silver Dollar City is the only park this has never operated at. This originally operated as River King Mine Train at Six Flags St. Louis. It then operated at Dollywood before getting relocated to Magic Springs. So Silver Dollar City is the only one that it has not operated at, and that is the correct answer there. So let's see. So Sean is on the board along with Michael. Coaster Evan just got it in time. And then, did anyone else get it? Yes, History and Leisure also got it. Okay, so there we go. We'll move on to the next question, which is our first of the channel trivia. And this is, who was the first Coaster Time guest, or sorry, the second one to Coaster Time guest, the first after Jace from 808 Coaster Life, who obviously has been on here multiple times. So here we go. You haven't done one of these quizzes in a couple of years? Yep. Actually, yeah, because I think the quizzes, that they were on hiatus for a little bit, and then I brought them back in somewhat recently in terms of streams. So, yep. Alrighty. So, answers are coming in. And for those of you who came in a little later, this is a ultimate quiz, 20 questions, as a mix of both channel and coaster trivia, alternates after every question. So that is what's going on there. And the timer is about to run out. No, you cannot change the answer. Already, time has run out, and it appears that no one got this one right. It is actually C, Coaster Daddy. This was Coaster Time, I believe episode 4 was the episode. Yeah, he was the second guest I ever had. Obviously has been very busy as of late, but Dale, great guy, so wanted to give a shout out there. Airtime Thrills, some of you guessed that. That was the third guest I had, so that is actually pretty close. Coaster Chawl and Coast Tunes were a decent bit afterwards, so yeah. Coaster Chawl was my first international guest, though, so wanted to mention that as well. Alrighty, here is the next question. Which of these countries has never had a B&M coaster? And you can guess away now. And obviously this picture will not be of help. The Incredible Hulk at Islands of Adventure. One of my personal favorite B&M coasters I've ridden, and obviously a new one I rode this year. So one of the bigger surprise coasters that I've ridden in recent memory. It is a phenomenal coaster, amazing onboard soundtrack, incredible forces on the inversions prior to the mid-course brake run, and amazing location, amazing theming, just a really great ride overall. But the timer is beginning to run out, so that is the timer. The correct answer here is C, Australia. They have had 0 B&M coasters. Kuwait had a Batman clone. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but they had a Batman clone. Vietnam has Dragon's Run, which is the relocated B&M sit-down coaster. And South Korea has a few different B&M coasters, including Phaethon, the B&M Invert, and a few others. So Australia is the only one that's never had it. Sean got it right, so 2 points there. History and Leisure also now has 2 points. Stamford Bridge is on the board with 1. And then Coaster Evan also has a 2nd point. So there we go. Alrighty, next question. Well, I guess someone has a bit of a advantage here. But yeah, this is a guess question. Which Coaster Time guest was able to get a front row ride on Diving Coaster Vanish after the 2 guests in front of them failed a breathalyzer test? That is the question. So there you go. Which, I mean, for this coaster, you would want to get the front row because it doesn't really just seem to have much in terms of the force department. So might as well get the best views. Alrighty. And the timer is out. The correct answer is actually A, Canopy Coaster. Mike from Canopy Coaster actually mentioned this on the stream that he was on. It was one of the crazier experiences he had. Wait, what? Are you saying that you also... Is this the same thing that happened to you? Hold up. Sean, did this happen to you as well? Or did this happen... You picked D, so... Did this happen to Ryan? No, wait, no. I mean, wait. Did Ryan ride this coaster? I'm not even sure. Yeah, Canopy Coaster has been to Japan. And this was one of the crazier stories he had there. So nobody ended up getting that right. But let's see. But yep, that is the correct answer. There you go. Alrighty, so we'll move on to our next question, which is, which of these coasters opened in 2007? Obviously, Maverick was one of the big coasters that opened that year. So which one of these coasters also opened along with it? Maverick obviously being... I don't recall the awards if it won Best New Coaster of that year, but I'm pretty sure it did. So I'm just going to say it did for Golden Ticket Awards. Because that seems to make sense. Obviously a huge ride back in the day when most of the coasters in previous years had been these crazy record breakers. And Maverick was, stats-wise, not necessarily a monster, but an excellent ride. So a game-changing coaster for sure in that way. So that is the question. But let's see. So the timer is beginning to run out. And The correct answer is C, Mystery Mine at Dollywood. So Sean gets a second, or actually a third point. Coaster Evan also has a third point. And Stamford Bridge gets a second point, as does Michael. So there we go. Already next, we have another Coaster Time trivia question. And this is, which of these content creators has not appeared on Coaster Time? And so I'll say that again. Which of these coaster or content creators has not made an appearance on Coaster Time? And for the picture, Nick from Northern Rides. Only the second international guest I had. That was a great stream that I did over the summer. So if you haven't seen that yet, make sure to check that out. One of the craziest time difference we've had to do, because it was like, I think like 9 hours or something like that. So that was why it was at an unusual time. But it was a very, very good live stream. So I wanted to mention that. Alrighty, that is the timer. So the correct answer here is D, Canada Coaster Fan. The only one of these content creators who has not appeared on Coaster Time. Theme Park Crazy was one of my first guests I had, as was Theme Park Media. And OK Coasters I had kind of towards like the middle of the series, if I think in the 30 episode range. But Canada Coaster Fan never had on here. But I've mentioned was very influential in me making the channel in the first place. So wanted to give a shout out there. Was a great channel back in the day. So yeah. And Stamford Bridge, you mentioned that you wish there was an episode. So I guess I can kind of talk about it now. Obviously, Canada Coaster Fan doesn't upload anymore. Has shifted to other interests, and life has taken him to a different sort of place. But yeah, I was actually in conversation with him early on to potentially do an episode, and we had kind of agreed to do it, but things sort of changed over time. And so, unfortunately, we never got that episode. But still, one of the all-time greats when it comes to content creators. And I mean, yeah. I mean, inspired me, inspired Airtime Thrills. Also talks very highly of Canada Coaster Fan, many other channels as well. Yeah, super influential in the coaster community. So, yeah. Next, we have our next question, which is a true or false that Hercules at Dorney Park, did it actually last longer by age compared to Ozark Wildcat at Celebration City? I just saw Insane Coaster Junkie in the chat, who is doing a New Year's stream. So if you haven't set your reminders and you don't have other plans, I would recommend checking that out. I'll make sure to stop by for a little bit on that day, but I wanted to give a shout out there, and also a previous coaster draft guest. So there you go. But as we get through the questions or the answers, a lot of people going with one answer. We'll see if that ends up panning out. Oh, and actually, I just realized I will have to do both of those in terms of tallying the points. The correct answer here is true. Pretty much everyone got it right here. So I need to go back. So let's see, that was question 7. So let me just tally up the points for 6, because I kind of didn't do that. So Stamford Bridge now has 4 points. Or, yeah. Let's see. So 4 points. History and Leisure is also at 4 points now. And then, let's see. Insane Coaster Junkie is on the board with 1. And then Michael and Coaster Evan also get another point. So Coaster Evan is at 4. Michael is at 3. There we go. Now we're all caught up. Okay, we'll move on to our next question, which is a channel trivia question. Which roller coaster was the subject of my first coaster review? That is the question. And Steel Vengeance was a coaster that I reviewed. It was not the first coaster that I reviewed, but it was one that I did do a review of. There were a few coasters, probably about a handful, that I actually did a review video on. And so this one is probably one of the tougher, at least I figured, kind of tougher questions. Because this is a long time ago. Like, this is before coaster time at this point. So this is like really early days of the channel. So we'll see how what people are guessing. Already about 15 seconds left. And a lot of similar answers. We'll see if either of those pay off. So I will just mention that. And the timer has officially run out. So the correct answer here is B, Superman Ultimate Flight, the Skyrocket 2. It was my first ever Skyrocket 2, and actually still the only one I've ridden. So that is the correct answer. History and Leisure got it right, and Stamford Bridge got it right. So they are tied for the lead with 5 points. Railblazer, I did review. So if you guessed that one, that was also an earlier one. That actually is a good guess. Top Drill Dragster, I did review also. And X2, I'd never made a video review of that one. So no one guessed that one. So good job there. But Railblazer was the next most logical guess. So if you guessed that, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Alrighty, so next we have which of these coasters has not been relocated, getting back into coaster trivia. So that is next. And then, obviously, this picture is not relevant. Scream has never been relocated. I just kind of wish that maybe it was. Seems like, I mentioned it, seems like it could. Maybe, I don't know at this point because it's pretty old at this point, but maybe in another life could have served another park as a pretty good coaster, and it's just kind of lost in a lineup at Magic Mountain. But obviously it has always been there, but that is the reason for the picture being there, I guess. But the questions are coming in. Everyone is going with and Jace is in the chat. Hello. Jace is also, I believe, planning to do a stream in the near future, so make sure to check that out. But the correct answer is A, Boomerang at Six Flags Darien Lake. I think pretty much everyone got that right, so let me just tally the points. Sean has 4 points. History and Leisure now has 6. 808 Coaster Life is on the board with 1. Michael has their 4th point. Coaster Evan has his 5th point. And then Stamford Bridge has his 6th. Alrighty. So there we go. We'll move on to another trivia one. This is Coaster Time related. When was the first episode, or when did Coaster Time begin? In other words, what year was the first episode of Coaster Time? When did it air, I suppose, is the best way that I can word that. So I mean, everyone got it right. That was a good guess. I don't know if people either knew that was a coaster that never got relocated, or if it seemed too obvious. Maybe that was it, but good job on that one. But we'll see. So this is Coaster Time as in the live stream series, not the channel. So just want to mention that. I hope that wasn't confusing, because the channel and Coaster Time started at different points. So, all right, that is the timer. The correct answer is 2020. And it kind of makes sense if you think about it. It was because of lockdowns. I even did a stream, like just streams beforehand to kind of test the waters. And then this stream series ended up coming about. August 22nd of 2020 was the first episode. So Stamford Bridge, got that right. It's been watching for a while, so makes sense. Jace got it right as well. Makes sense also because it was a guest that year. Michael, been watching for a while as well, has the 5th point. And yeah, that is, I think, all the points tallied there. If you guessed 2019, that was when the channel was established. So if you guessed that actually is pretty sensible. Thankfully, no one guessed D, because I don't even know if you put that one in. Yeah, it has definitely not been around for that long. The channel's not been around for that long, so that'd be pretty wild. 2022, if you're a newer viewer, kind of makes sense. So yeah, 2022. That would be a lot of episodes. That'd be like almost one every week. Or I guess every 2 weeks, I guess, if you thought beginning of 2022. But yeah, so there you go. Next, what is the name of the single rail family coaster that SNS just unveiled this year? Which this is a coaster, or a coaster trivia question. It kind of also is a Coaster Time one, because I actually mentioned it. But we'll see what people guess. And this is the picture of it. So there you go. SNS single rail family coaster. And a lot of answers are going in the chat. So timer is about 20 seconds away. And this one is actually pretty funny because yeah, I'm not, there's a lot of different people who put in different answers, and I understand why. Because not a whole lot of people actually can remember it by name. So the correct answer is C, Rail Rider. A lot of people did Wild Moose. That is the RMC family coaster. That is, it's not necessarily, it's a RMC's take on the Wild Mouse. So if you guessed that, that was that. Trail Runner is the Skyline Attraction single rail coaster, although I don't think anyone guessed that one actually. And the Rail Runner, that is like, I mean, that's I think a mountain coaster. So that is that, and then let's see who got this one. So Coaster Evan got it. So Coaster Evan has 6 points, and Insane Coaster Junkie got it, and Jace got it. Coming in late, but on a streak so far. So yeah, Rail Rider is the correct answer. So yep, we'll move on to our next question, which is this one might also be obscure, but which ride has Busch Gardens Tampa ride specifically has made a live appearance on Coaster Time? For once, the picture is a hint, because this is the episode where said ride actually appeared. So this is obviously an early episode. Actually, funny thing, I was battling COVID in this one and didn't realize it. So kind of had to push through a little bit for that one. I felt a lot worse afterwards. So thankfully it didn't affect me too badly during this stream. But yeah, so anyways, we'll see what the answers are. A lot of similar answers. We'll see if that one pays off. Weirdest episode, to be honest. Yeah, that one was kind of crazy. I mean, that was the first time I tried to do 3 guests. So, and yeah, Itai was at Busch Gardens. So it was a pretty interesting episode to kind of do back in the day. But the correct answer here is A. Falcon's Fury was the ride that was shown. So, let's see who got it. Jace got it. Now it's at 4 points. Insane Coaster Junkie is now at 3 points. Michael got it. Now at 6 points. Sean Flaherty got it. Now at 5 points. Let's see. Tarn got it. 1 point. There's my dad in the chat. And then let's see. And then Stanford Bridge also got it. It's now at 8 points and in the lead. So there we go. Theme park. Yeah. So this was also before Itai was Theme Park HQ. I think that happened a decent bit after the stream. I don't think it was. I don't believe that was during the stream. There were a few announcements, like channel related, that were made during my streams. I don't believe that rebrand was one of them. I actually am pretty darn sure it wasn't. So, yeah. Anyways, on to the trivia side of it. What year did Falcon's Fury, I almost wanted to say Falcon's Flight, this is obviously not that, open? That is the next question. So, and have not ridden Falcon's Fury yet. I know it's been having some issues in the past few years in terms of uptime. Hope to ride it. Super unique drop tower facing face down. Would love to check it out in the future. Don't necessarily have any plans to go to Busch Gardens Tampa anytime super soon, but you never know when that could pop up, especially with some Orlando plans in the mix. Yeah, that is Falcon's Fury. Very intriguing drop tower for sure. And we're getting to our final few seconds here of the timer. Alrighty, that is it. The correct answer here is B, 2014. Insane Coaster Junkie is on a roll, now has a 4th point. Sean got it, now has 6 points. Stanford Bridge also with another point is now up to 9. And then Michael got it as well and is at 7. So there you go. Alrighty, next we'll move on to our next question, which is, what was the first announcement I did a live reaction stream for? Obviously the Wild Moose, which funnily enough is here. That was not the first one, but it was one of the ones I did, was the RMC Wild Moose when it was being announced. But I've obviously done some other announcements. Which one of these was the first announcement that I did a live reaction stream for? So, and this one is also kind of a tricky one as well, because this, I mean, it goes a decent bit back, and also some of these you kind of have to know timing of potentially. So I'm curious to see how this one goes as the timer is beginning to run out. And the timer has indeed run out. The correct answer for this one is A, Dr. Diabolical's cliffhanger was the first live reaction stream. I did do a Wicked Twister's closure, but that was a little bit after the Dr. Diabolical announcement. Palindrome was also later, and then West Coast Racers, I didn't do it. I just put it there as a trick answer. And Jace got it, so Jace now has 5 points. Coaster Evan also got it. Now is at 7. My dad's at 2 points, also got it. And yeah, I mean, the West Coast Racers one was pretty evil to put in there, so if you guessed that one, that's fair. And then Wicked Twister happened kind of close, so, and I barely even decided to do that one. I'm very happy I ended up doing it, because it was like, we knew Cedar Point was announcing something, but they gave us no hint of anything, so it literally could have been like a new event or anything, or something like that, but it was Wicked Twister's closure, which obviously was not the greatest thing to see, but it was at least pretty impactful. So there you go. Yeah, Parks Bros was all over West Coast Racers. Yep. That also, I kind of threw it in there because it's like probably some people watch both of our channels, so I'll throw it in there as a trick. We have our next question though, which is, which of these coasters listed are the fastest? And I forgot to set the timer, so you have like an extra 5 to 10 seconds really. But the timer is on now, so guess away. And I always put Formula Rosa here because it is currently the world's fastest coaster, obviously not an option. Another super intriguing coaster because of that hydraulic launch. I mean, seems to be one of the absolute best launches out there. And the layout is interesting afterwards. Probably a lot of moments where it doesn't really do a whole lot, but the sensation of speed, and I imagine some of the airtime hills are probably pretty solid. So very interesting coaster for sure. Alrighty, so a lot of answers are coming in. And now that is ended, and yeah, everyone got this one right. It is indeed Tron Light Cycle Run. So good job, everybody. I'll just tally up the points. Insane Coaster Junkie now has 5. Stanford Bridge has 10. History and Leisure has 7. Sean Flaherty has 7. Michael has 8. Coaster Evan also has 8. Jace has 6, so making one heck of a comeback. And then 3rd point for my dad there. Alrighty, so we'll move on. And which of these coasters has never been a running joke or meme for the channel? The coaster in the picture is not any of those. That is just the Kitty Coaster, Dragon Coaster, which is a Lil Phantom clone at my local park that I rode this year for the first time. So yeah, we'll see if some of these are a little earlier on, and some of these are more recent, and some of these have been long running. But yeah, we'll see. A lot of people going with the same answer here for this one. Going with the crowd. Everyone's going with C, so let's see. Timer is getting close to running out. And the timer is out, so let's reveal the answer, which is indeed C, Aerial Glide at Shipley Glen Pleasure Grounds, which is this really ancient suspended coaster, not to be confused with Bisbee Spiral Airship. It actually, I think, operated until like the 2000s. It was like really old. You can find it on RCDB, but that is the correct answer there. It has not really ever been a running joke on the channel. Every other one has been. Pit Special was, but that was like a long time ago. But hey, no one picked it, so there you go. And let's see, so I think everyone caught that right, so I'm just going to tally up. Jace has 7, Sean has 8, Sane Coaster Junkie has 6, Michael has 9, History and Leisure has 8, Dad has 4, Coaster Evan also has 9, Stamford Bridge, oh shoot, did I give the point yet? What is this, 16? I don't think so. So has 11. And then, yeah, okay, I think that's everybody. Alrighty. So we'll move on to the next question, which is question 17. Which of these coasters opened first out of the ones listed? And the coaster in the picture, Dododompa, is actually a hint. I won't spoil what it is, though you can probably figure it out on your own, but it is indeed a hint. So I will mention that. We'll always have Lil Phantom. I didn't want to include that one because it was too obvious. I mean, I guess to be fair, Bisbee's was pretty, but like Lil Phantom, I feel like is more of a general joke in the community. While it did have its time here, Nessie and Bisbee's are a little more specific, and even Pit Special was. So, yeah, that's why I excluded Lil Phantom, though. Yes, it was also one of those. So, yep. So the timer is running out. The timer has officially run out. And the correct answer here is D, Expedition G-Force. So History and Leisure got that one right. 9 there. Sane Coaster Junkie got it. That is 7. Frontier Coasters is on the board and has 1. Also, huge shout out to Frontier Coasters, has been creating a lot of the quizzes. I made this one myself because it was a special episode, but huge help with doing that. Jace got it correct, so has 8 points now. And Sean also got it, so that's 9. So there you go. When was Galactica / Air? That was 2002, a few months before I was born. So, whereas Ozark Wildcat was, I believe, 2003, and Coastersaurus, I think it was 2004, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I just know it was after 2001. So, there you go. Yeah, and History and Leisure mentioned it. Okay, so there you go. Next, we have another trivia, which is which one of these people in the amusement industry have I not interviewed? The mic is, I didn't really know what to do with for a picture here, so I just put it in there, I guess, because it's an interview. That's about as much analysis as I can give there. But everyone is guessing, and everyone is once again going for the same answer. We'll see if this one pays off. So, but yeah, everyone feels pretty confident in their answers, I will say that. So, but we'll reveal the answer in just about 3 seconds. And the timer is up. And the correct answer here is B, John Airy Jr. from Fun Spot America. Who is the now, I believe, like sort of, he is the owner of Fun Spot America. And has been running it for a little while now. Obviously, the parks have been in the Airy family, Yeah, so guess I can mention it here. Another one where I included because way back when, a little bit after Air Force One was announced, I actually got into contact with FunSpot to try to do an interview. Actually was going to do one, but some scheduling issues both on my end and Air Force One delays made it so that didn't happen. Maybe something that could be revisited in the future. That's a little behind the scenes sort of thing there. Yeah, so interesting bit of lore there. Air Force One is also, of course, one of my top bucket list coasters out there, so can't wait to check it out when I get the opportunity. Putting in all the scores. I haven't been mentioning them, but I'm putting them in right now. Marty is on the board. Also, hello, Marty. Thanks for coming into the stream. And then, let's see. Coaster Evan has 10. Michael has 10 as well. And then Stamford Bridge has 12. Alrighty. So we'll move on to the next question, which is, which of these parks is not a chain park? So, which of these parks is not a chain park? And potentially people who've been to some of these might have a slight advantage. The coaster in the picture is Kentucky Rumbler at Beach Bend, which is indeed an independent park. Obviously not one of the options here, but one of the independent parks I got to go to this year. Really nice, like kind of fun small park. Kentucky Rumbler was great in my experience. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the Larson Drop Tower as well, and their dark ride was pretty. It was entertaining and fun to ride. So yeah, that is Beach Bend and Kentucky Rumbler there. Was happy to check it out because it's pretty out of the way park to get to. And the timer has now run out as I say that. So everyone has gone with the same answer again. I guess this is just a strategy. And the correct answer is D, Yomiuriland. There are tiebreaker questions, though, because of the length of this. If there isn't a tie at the point where we get to the tiebreaker questions, I will just kind of show the answers, just because this is a pretty big quiz. But the correct answer here is D, Yomiuriland. So yeah, Pacific Park is a Premier Parks now, so that's the deal with that one. Bon Bon Land is Parque Reunidos. Kentucky Kingdom obviously is now Hershend, and so yeah. No, I don't do points for answering verse because that's a lot for on my plate already, but I do appreciate the suggestion there. So let's see. Marty got a point. History and Leisure got a point. Jace got a point. A lot of high scores here for this one. Stamford Bridge got a point. Sean Flaherty got a point. My dad got a point. Michael got a point. Insane Coaster Junkie got a point. And Coaster Evan got a point. Okay, so let's see. We are at right now. Well, actually, that's question 19. And as I have on the leaderboard, Stamford Bridge is in the lead by 2 points, so has already won. But we'll move on to the next question. So I'll just kind of show the tiebreakers, basically. But the last question is, what was my 100th credit? And you can start guessing away now. But Stamford Bridge is the winner of the ultimate quiz, I can say that. So let's see what answers come in. And wow, okay, a lot of the same answers again here. All right, then. Those who follow me on Instagram have probably a little bit more of an advantage here as opposed to YouTube, because I think I've only mentioned it in streams, and that's the best way you would know. So, all right, timer has hit. Don't know why it didn't make a noise there. But the correct answer here is Mystic Timbers. Dad just got the answer in right in time, so I will finish up the, let's see. Actually, if you guys want, let me know if you want to do the tiebreaker questions or if you just want me to move on, because I'm willing to do either. I think I'll leave it up to those of you playing, so just let me know in chat. They're pretty difficult. Like, there's a reason I made them tiebreakers. I believe both of them are channel trivia related. Obviously, at this point, just kind of playing for fun. I'm not going to do points after this, but for that one. But yeah, just wanted to bring that up just in case. So, alrighty. Okay, so the winner of all right, you guys would like to see them, so I guess we'll just go for it. These ones are very difficult, though, so, like, there's a reason these were tiebreakers, so, and like I said, these are channel trivia, so, Stanford Bridge won with 14 points, just to kind of go through the leaderboard. Second place, we had a, four-way tie between Sean Flaherty, Michael, Coaster Evan, and History and Leisure. And then in third, we had a three-way tie between, or two-way tie in third place between Insane Coaster Junkie and Jace from 808 Coaster Life. So, yeah, that is the how it came out in terms of scoreboard. We'll move on to the bonus tiebreaker questions. And here's the first one. For Coaster Time Episode 1, what was the unique thing about this episode that was not a reoccurrence of any other, that did not happen again in any other episode? That is the question there. Well, what was unique about Coaster Time Episode 1? Oh yeah, no, you, Jay, you and Jace both did excellent, considering you both came in late, so really strong comeback there. This one is all over the place. Well, it was, until there was some consistency. However, as the timer runs out, that consistency is accurate. It is the only one where I wore glasses. I had these glasses to, like, protect, like, what, blue light glasses. I wore it for that stream. Never wore it again for any other stream. That was a one-time experiment, but that is indeed the correct answer. The other ones, I did not have a mustache in that episode, so that's not applicable. And I think I did in other episodes much later on. My channel was never called Coaster Minute. Those who followed the Discord, there was a weird situation that happened with that, so that's a throwback to that. My channel has not and will never be called Coaster Minute, so if there's like a imposter like there was a few years ago, let me know or don't pay attention to it. And I did plenty of episodes in that house, so that also was not the answer there. So, but yeah, so that is the correct answer there. And the second tiebreaker in our last question, how many Coaster Time guests have there been? And this one is purely guesswork because I don't think I've actually listed a number. Unless you've been keeping track on a document or something, you're probably not going to know this. But, yeah. This is the like I said, there's a reason these were tiebreakers. To be fair, the first question, a lot of you got it, so you did better than I expected. But this one is like pure guesswork. A lot of people going with the same answer here again. At this point, like, I mean, earlier it made sense to like keep the lead or keep your points up. It made sense to go with like saying the same one. But at this point, since we're not really totaling that, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense anymore. But a lot of you also got this one right. It is indeed 32, which I'm very impressed that a lot of you got that one right. Granted, the numbers are relatively far off, so I guess the ballpark estimate could work there. But yeah, 32 different guests, with obviously my most recent live stream as Beyond the Thrills comes in at great timing. That I did was with Nick from Beyond the Thrills, Jason from Coasters and Things, and Tyler from Coaster Tyler. That was the last stream we did with guests. And also the last 3 guests that I had. So, but in total, we've had 32 guests. So that is the ultimate quiz. Hope you all enjoyed it. And we'll be moving on. And actually, I will put up the winner as well. Sanford Bridge Ultimate Quiz winner. And there you go. So for our next segment, this is a... I have not done this one yet, but with this being the 50th episode stream, one of these segments that I have done quite a bit is buy or sell, which basically it works the same way as like, you know, you give me either a take or in most cases a prediction or something that you think could happen, and then I buy or sell it. Airtime Thrills, Chris was a previous guest of mine, and so he brought that segment to the coaster community, and I made sure to reach out and ask if I could use it, and it's been a great segment for the streams. But it's been over a year since I've done it, and I haven't actually gone back and reviewed these. So I wanted this, and Civilian Satellite just saw in the chat. Yeah, nice to see you here. Hope the travels have been going well. And make sure to check out Civilian Satellite's channel. So if you haven't yet, make some great content there with the vlog series. So yeah, well, so this is reviewing buy or sell. This is not like, I will have a buy or sell segment, but basically this is like going back and reviewing it. So what I'm doing is I gathered, I found like, I haven't actually seen these in a while, so I kind of explain what I'm doing. I'm getting the headset here. So what I'm going to do is I got 13 questions, buy or sell questions that I saw from the live chats that we have an answer to now. And I'm going to be looking at these like right here, right in real time, and kind of seeing how well I did to the ones that I chose. I have 13 of these. All of these were from different viewers. So we have a question from Sanford Bridge, Frontier Coasters, 808 Coaster Life, Marty, Civilian Satellite. I tried to get one question from various different viewers, so ended up with that. And probably not the best description of this. This is not a segment I'm going to be doing all the time. This is a pure special one because since we are at this milestone. But yeah, we're basically, what I'm doing, like I said, is going back and seeing how well I did on the previous buy or sells. So first time I'm doing this in real time, or like a segment like this. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it should also, the audio will hopefully come out well. So I'm gonna pull this up. I will go here. There we go. And yeah, we're going to be reviewing 13 of these, see how well I did. First one comes from Coaster Time 32 from Stanford Bridge, was asking if I will eventually work in the amusement industry in some capacity. I worked as a cashier at Wild Waters, which very basic level job, but within the amusement industry, so does count. And yeah, let's see how I answered it. And let me know in the chat if you can hear the audio. I will probably turn it down a notch. And yeah, we'll go with that. So, Carrick will eventually work in the amusement industry in some capacity. I'm gonna buy that. Unironically, I will. I did buy it. I mean, okay. I did say I was gonna do it, so there you go. In a little bit. I mean, the interviews and things of that sort. It's a good body of work to have. So, I think yes, or at least hopefully. And I think it's something I'm interested in doing, so I'll buy it. All right, I think that's all I had for it. So, the interviews, I don't know that really helped me in this situation, but I did mention that. So I have worked in the industry now, so I did get that one correct. That was from June 4th of 2022, so a little bit less, or actually a year later almost exactly, actually, was when I started the work. So that is the first one. Also, I have no idea if I haven't seen these in a long time, so like, even though I gathered these, I don't know if I did good or not, basically. So that's the other thing there. So the next one I have also comes from this stream, around 128, 42. Say no. All right, so I'll answer the last. This one was related to Vekoma working with Six Flags. This was from Frontier Coasters. Let's see how well I did with this one. Vekoma will work with Six Flags for a major new coaster soon. I think so. I think they... All right, I bought it. Assuming the tilt coaster works out, I don't know if that's something they would consider, but I think it would. They didn't go for tilt coaster yet, but Flash obviously has happened now. I think so. I think that would be something that will happen. That was kind of a soft buy because I didn't like go into that much. And pretty brief explanation. I guess I thought a tilt coaster would be the way they would go, but in terms of a major new coaster, they are getting Flash at Six Flags Great Adventure next year, so I got this one right as well. Hopefully we get some that I got wrong, because I didn't mean to pick it in a way where I literally got all of these right, because I know for sure I got some of these wrong. So, yeah, that's our first two there. So, 2 for 2 up to this point. Our next one comes from the episode after this. This was on June 17th of, and I'll remove this for now so I can actually put it in. June 17th of 2022 has an ad is playing, which is why I took it off. And also Jace was in this episode. So the other thing too is with these, we'll also see how my guests did. I suppose. So that should be interesting as well. So here's the next one. Is this USA only, or do we have European stuff as well? Let me look at the ones that we know of. I think most of these are US based, unfortunately, because I think kind of looking at the international buyer sells, most of them haven't really happened yet. So these are mostly American based now looking at it. I didn't even think of that. I probably should have factored that in as a criteria. The thing is, I kind of wanted to get one question from each person because there are some people who I think did actually ask some international ones. So yeah, these are going to be mostly North America based. So good question there. All right, so this next one is from Theme Park Horizons. It's if they just if Fiesta Texas gets a new dark ride for 2024. Wait, do they not already have that yet? I thought I don't know if they have that.
I could be totally wrong.
I think I was thinking of Pirates of Spelunker Cave, which is that over Texas. I got mixed up. I'm going to say sell. I know that Jeffrey Siebert, he worked at Paramount's Kings Island. So I did sell it, so I was right here. For sure. Hello, Thunder Thrills. Welcome to the chat. We do like a dark ride at some point pretty recently. They're doing a lot with theming with Dr. Diabolicals. I'm definitely going to say no on that. Well, I was right.
I'd probably say sell, just to be safe.
And
But,
Jace, you got it right
I
too.
do
There you
acknowledge there
go.
is a possibility that they could get some kind of dark ride by then.
Yeah, I mean, it would be fun to see. I don't see it. There you go. SeaWorld Orlando. So that is it. That's that one. So we were both right on that one. So far 3 for 3. Like I said, I had not seen these in a while. So like I said, I actually hope that I get some that I was wrong, because there were a decent amount where I can guarantee I was wrong on these. So yeah, let me get the oh wait, no, the next one's actually from the same episode. It's also it's during 1:30, so let me get that. It's about the surf coaster and the seating setup. So get the feeling there won't be, because I mean, I feel like they would have bought some Raptors. Some parts over there would have bought some Raptors. So this is all right. SeaWorld Orlando surf coaster will the surf coaster have a different seating setup than standing up, which obviously it didn't. I mean, kind of did, but it is standing up, so sell.
Yeah, I'd probably say sell as well.
Okay, we both sold on this.
They probably wouldn't get a sit down with that layout. It probably wouldn't be a sit down coaster because.
Okay, so at this point we had the layout, so that kind of makes sense.
So, yeah.
Alrighty, last few questions here. A Disney park, pretty short there, but yeah, we both sold on that one. I guess at that point the layout had leaked and it was pretty obvious. It's like that seemed like a standing up layout, and we didn't even realize how much the like literal. That was a good call by Jace there, because that literally was a huge part of it, because like the surf coaster, I mean, the reason it has that layout is literally to work with the seats rising up a bit, which we did not know at the time necessarily what the seating setup of this ride was going to be. It had not been announced, so yeah, that one 4 for 4. I gotta like, there's got to be one here that I picked that I was wrong on, I hope, because like I said, that if I did it, like, I know I got some wrong, so I'm actually at this point hoping I get one wrong. Oh, I forgot to. Okay, well, there's an ad, I guess. Let's see. Here's the next one. Tampa's next coaster will be a hyper. If BGT's next coaster is a hyper. This was on July 23rd of 2022 from Rocky Bowel.
I don't think so, personally. They just got
Josiah got it right.
So I don't personally
shout out.
so. But that'd be freaking awesome. I think that'd be super cool. I would definitely shock me. Good question though. That's intriguing to think about. I've never really considered that as potentially being a possibility.
All right, what do I got? Busch Gardens Tampa. If they go with a hyper style coaster, at that point just get a Giga coaster. I feel like my logic is something flawed. That people have wanted for a while. Obviously, it's really expensive if you do that, but that's just sort of my thinking there. If they were gonna go something like with something that crazy, it would probably be a Giga. So I will sell it for that reason. But all right, well, would be cool to see. There's another one. So my logic was flawed. Their next coaster was not a Giga coaster. Like I said, it would be. It of course ended up being a B&M family invert. But there you go. So that's another one. Josiah also got that one right. So from National Coasters, shout out. Make sure to check out his channel as well and his social media platforms like on Instagram. So yeah, already our next one comes from Jace, actually. This will be our 6th one, so about halfway through. And I will take this off so you guys don't see an ad. But pretty much this was between... Oh, and also this was the episode where I had JB Thrills on. So the question was, buy or sell, will Carowinds or Canada's Wonderland get the next big Cedar Fair coaster? This was on September 3rd of 2022. So Carowinds or Canada's Wonderland will get the next big Cedar Fair coaster. Ooh, okay. You can go first for this.
So, okay, I think I mean, Canada's Wonderland, they just got that amazing wild flat ride. So,
Oh, Chandra
I
Twister.
mean,
Yeah, that was
technically, it
crazy.
should be next for the coaster, but Carowinds got Aeronautica, which again is like just flat rides. But since if you compare them, the one that got the bigger investment obviously is Carowinds with Aeronautica. So I think Canada's Wonderland will be next, but I don't know the track record of it. So
Oh, wait, I think you got confused between
yeah,
which
I'm just gonna
one.
sell because there's other parks that they would
Oh,
definitely
okay,
give
no,
a
never mind.
big
He got to it
Cedar
okay.
Fair coaster too.
Yeah, I'm also going to sell this
We
because
agreed on
especially
this
in
one,
Carowinds'
okay.
case, like people don't understand how big that entire Aeronautica area land probably. Well, it is, and it probably
Yeah, that was a
costs.
pretty massive investment.
So I'm gonna
So,
absolutely take Carowinds out of it for getting the next big Cedar Fair coaster. In Canada's Wonderland, I have my doubts just because they are coming off a really rough patch. I think they, if I'm correct, suffered the worst of it in terms of COVID closures.
they did get a coaster. It just
Because of
wasn't
the
the
rules
next
that were in
big
place.
one. They got the kiddie
For
coaster. So you
where
could,
it's
if you wanted to
located.
go off that logic, though,
And
Wild
they're
Mass at
also, they
Cedar
are getting a
Point
family
opened
coaster this
first.
year. Doesn't mean they wouldn't get a coaster next
I
year,
think
but,
Zambezi
it's
Zinger was
something.
kind of the
Um,
big coaster that
Oh
Cedar
yeah, I know
Fair
I'm
about
going
that
to
family
sell.
coaster.
Yeah,
added this
it's
year.
not that big of a coaster, but I think I'm gonna sell.
Yeah,
So we were right there. So 6 for 6, like I said, I do have some. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but I just because of the mention of the lack of international questions, I do actually have a extra one that I will include because it is international related. Or well, it ended up being, I think. So I will probably do that one. But anyways, another one I got correct there. So
Um,
our next
Buyer sell
one,
B&M will never make another sit-down launch coaster.
yeah, this
Um,
B&M will never make another sit-down launch coaster. And this was in
That is definitely
September
yeah,
24th,
because all they
2022.
do is Hulk, and they did Decepticoaster, but that's about it. So I will buy that.
I got one
Because
wrong. Let's
unless
go.
Universal makes another park.
Because
no one's really
Penguin
asking-
Trek.
Although, actually, that's
I got one
I could
wrong.
see a world where the surf coaster, because it's currently a stand-up, they do convert to a sit-down. So it's difficult, but I'm still going to buy it for now. So yeah.
Okay, I got that one wrong because obviously Penguin Trek is now announced. That is a B&M sit-down coaster. So there you go. That is I did get that one wrong there. So yep. There we go. All right, next one we have. This comes from another previous guest. Was this from the? It was from a different episode. So let me take this out. This comes from Theme Park Guy Productions. And this was from the Hershey Park enthusiast stream following the Wildcats
Still
Revenge
Studios 4 will
wager.
receive Secret Life of Pets off the leash to replace Kid Zone. I'm going to sell that. I think they're just gonna sort
Okay,
of
I was right on
retool
this.
that like area.
We
and
know
make it
this is
sort of-
becoming DreamWorks
I
area
saw
now.
you mention
So
like DreamWorks. I like that. I think that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be like a new DreamWorks themed
yeah,
area.
good shout.
But I don't think
That
Secret
was I
Life's
think
going there,
heavily
so I'm gonna
rumored.
sell.
So yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I could. It's not like again super out of the question, but yeah, I'm gonna sell that one.
For those of you who are
And
unfamiliar,
Hershey Park
with
enthusiasts
Secret-
also sold it. So also the guests have been really good on these of the ones that I've pulled up. So kind of underrated in that sense. The next one also comes from the same stream. This is from Train. I'm going to guess I probably get this one wrong. Because it's will Six Flags Fiesta Texas get a new ground up coaster in the next 4 years? This was from November 4th of 2022. I don't know if the if Flash was the Kid Flash rumor was out there yet for Fiesta Texas. So we'll see. This one could be interesting.
Good. As long as
Yeah.
you're not an Eagles fan, just don't become another bird, and then we're good.
Yep, there you go, exactly. Six Flags Fiesta Texas will get a new ground-up coaster in the next 4 years. That makes you think, doesn't it? What are your thoughts on this one?
I deferred it to Hershey
They
Park
just
enthusiasts.
spent a lot on Dr. Diabolical, and the new Six Flags CEO. I mean, we both know how much he loves spending money on new roller coasters.
And this was also the time where
I don't
we,
know.
where
think
we
it's
didn't know much about
possible,
Salim
but
Basul. We were coming
I
off
don't
that
think it would be a
report, I
major
think,
new
where
coaster,
he
like maybe a family coaster of
said
some
the thing.
sort, but not anything like huge, if that makes sense. But I could see it. I might sell that, or I might sell that one for now. But then again, like I could also see that happening too. I mean, it really depends.
Dang, all right, so he
I think
sold
in the
it.
next 4 years is a little too ambitious. I think maybe like just a little beyond that could make sense, but
A little
I'm
too
gonna sell as
ambitious,
well.
huh? All right.
Because we don't really
Yikes.
know what the plan is.
That's
like sort
that
of beyond
did
these
not
first
work.
few years, and
That was
well,
bad.
if it even sticks to that plan. So we'll see.
I don't think I officially said I sold it, but I basically said I sold it without saying I sold it. Yeah, I was completely off base off on that one. Obviously, Kid Flash ended up getting built literally this year. So that one did not age out very well. But I think that was kind of at a weird time where we really weren't sure what Six Flags was doing. The CEO seemed to indicate he wasn't focusing on ride additions at the time. So it kind of it made sense, but yeah, that one was pretty brutal. Alrighty, so the next one we have is from Civilian Satellite, and this one I think the last ones are they all from the farewell stream? Yes, so all these last ones are from the farewell stream before I went on my
Yep, I'm
break.
buying.
So yeah, alrighty, so.
This as well. I mean, they put it on Riddler Revenge at Six Flags.
This
New
one
England,
ended
the
up
new
coming true. I
SLC
bought
trains,
it
and they just put it on Batman
because Mind Eraser at Six
at,
Flags
Six
America
Flags
just
Mexico.
got theirs. So that is accurate. So I got that one
So,
there.
I mean, yeah, I think we're gonna see more of that. As long as they're willing to keep them around, I think we're gonna see that more. So yes, I'm buying that. Creature from the Black Lagoon musical returns.
I don't think so. I decided I excluded all the Six Flags Cedar Fair stuff because technically the merger has not officially happened yet. So I know there's a lot of questions that are pretty funny because they deal with like Six Flags buying like parks or whatever. I kept those off because technically the merger hasn't officially gone through yet. I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen at this point, but I keep it off just in case like something goes haywire. So that'll be in the future though, because there's definitely a lot of those that are like I probably got completely wrong. But I've, like I said, decided to keep those off just because it's kind of like technically it hasn't officially happened yet. So I did not include those. There was a lot in that department. So there you go. But let's see. So that's the Vekoma SLC one. There's another one from that episode at 204 from Charged on PC. Let's see. Here we go.
Located anywhere, so I'm just gonna sell it based off that. Buy or sell. Six Flags Grid Adventure gets a tilt coaster for 2024. Man, I think you're the first. Are you the first person I've heard bring up that idea?
Oh no, am I gonna convince myself to buy it?
That idea because we know that they're teasing something big
Kinda
to be
close.
coming in
They got a,
2024.
Super
There's been,
Boomerang.
like, the Giga rumors, but I don't know exactly where those are at. And they did just start working. They did get a family coaster from Vekoma, which is promising. Obviously, it's a little family coaster, but hey, at least it's something. Honestly, I don't think I can quite completely buy it. Like, would I be willing to bet that this is what they're getting for 2024?
No, you're not,
But
and
I
you were
could
right
see
for
it. So
not.
I would actually buy it. I actually like that idea.
But
a
I did
lot.
buy it, so I did
for
get that
sure.
one wrong.
I like it a lot more than the dive, especially now that Dorney's getting a dive. But the problem is, if they were planning to get one, that can't really affect it
So,
because they would have.
that's
already
another
been
one
too
I got
far into the
wrong.
project. But I think that would certainly be pretty cool to see.
And then, the next one, actually, I'm going to unpause it because it comes right afterwards. It's from Marty.
Top row dragster will increase just enough in height to take
Yep,
the record
here we
from
go.
King Ka by herself.
Charged on PC, you got
you know
me.
what? I am going to buy it, but not like in a weird way. I do kind of believe in the idea of there's that rumor that they're gonna
Oh
put
my
a back
God,
spike
why did
on
I
dragster.
buy that?
I do buy into that, and I
No.
do think they would actually make that back spike taller than King Ka. They're not gonna raise the
Yikes.
height of the top hat because that's like literally impossible. But I could totally see them trying to take the height record with the back spike, which would be hilarious for like a lot of reasons. If Cedar Point really tried to take the
This
height
one's
record in that
pretty
way, it'd
brutal
be very
because
critical.
To be fair, I was right. I think my logic, they were never going to increase the height of the top hat, and I thought maybe the back spike they could do it. They obviously didn't.
And it's gonna be
So
really funny
another
if it
L
actually
there.
happens.
I'm actually surprised I
Buy
bought
or
that, to
sell,
be honest.
Primordial.
We'll move on to the next one. Although, I mean, this one's also kind of relevant, but I'm not gonna do what is it? This would be an extra one, but this one actually we kind of do have an answers for the primordial one that just popped up. But here's the
Dragster's
last
not gonna have
question
inversions, I'm
outside of the
sorry.
one bonus I'll bring in.
Yeah.
Also related to
I think
Dragster.
that's just ridiculous.
Oh, I think I went too far. Hold up. Okay.
It's so weird, like looking. It definitely looks like it has coaster sections. It'll definitely have some sort of. I think they still are saying it might have an interactive feature. So I think I'll
did.
buy it, but it's gonna be an interesting sort of hybrid. So I'll buy it, I guess. Dragster's not gonna have inversions. I'm selling that.
Oh, I answered it before it
Yeah.
even popped up. Okay, that makes sense.
I think
That's why the timing was off.
that's just ridiculous.
And I was right to sell that because it definitely did not have inversions. So, I mean, it didn't even do a twisted spike. So, that was accurate. So, out of these 13, let's see, which ones did I get wrong? I got the B&M sit down. I think it was launch coaster. I was completely off base on because of Penguin Trek. The Fiesta Texas new ground up coaster, I was wrong there. Great Adventure tilt coaster, I was wrong. And then the Top Thrill Dragster height record. So 9 out of 13 of the ones that were done here. I will do an extra one. I'm almost certain I got this one wrong, but just to have an international one, there was a good question that Frontier Coasters had. Well, it's international. It wasn't initially an international question, but it is now. It'll kind of make sense once I bring it up. And this will be the last one. And so, this also comes from the Coaster Time 33 with Jace. So this is, it'll make sense once I show it. So here we go.
I'll let you go first for this one. Zombie Ride will be relocated to another park in North America.
This did not end up happening.
Probably because I guess there isn't too many, or I don't know which Mexican park would get it, so it would probably go somewhere in North America if it gets relocated.
Well, we off base.
I buy it 100%. I mean, it's a cheaper
I knew
now
I was
launch
wrong on
coaster,
this.
and
We were both
as
wrong
you
on this
mentioned,
one.
Probably not going to another Mexican park, and just because of proximity, it makes too much sense for a North American park.
Proximity
to buy
I
it.
think,
So they're
factor.
they're
It
gonna do
just,
It has more capacity than any other Skyrocket 2 in the world, so
that's not
another
being
reason.
used. this one will be interesting. I just saw the Theme Park Horizons one. We don't know the answer to this one yet. A lot of these, it's like we just don't know the answer to yet. So I probably would like to do this, like revisit some of these in like a video form, not necessarily live, but thought it was interesting to kind of go through it. So that was another one that we got, that both of us, Jace, that was his first one he got wrong, but I got it wrong too. Zombie Ride ended up getting relocated to Salitre, Magico, and Columbia, which is, I mean, makes sense, you know, not that far away. And definitely a very good coaster to pick up for sure. And that's in South America, so close, but just not quite on that one. So that is reviewing Buy or Sell. I hope you kind of enjoyed kind of looking through that. Like I said, probably would be more of a video thing in the future. I just thought because of the 50th episode, it'd be a fun time to kind of review some of them. And with that being said, with it being the end of the year, I'll do a short Buy or Sell segment. We'll go like 5 minutes on this for you guys to ask any buy or sells and in the chat, and we'll go from there. Since it's the end of the year, probably a good time to get some final ones in and see where they go and however long from now. So yeah, so that's gonna be the plan there. Yeah, JC could have gotten 3 for 3, just not quite. But actual buy or sell begins now. So was interesting to go back because some of them, oh my god, the Fiesta Texas one, that one was actually pretty funny. Like, what was it? 4 years seems too ambitious for a new ground up coaster. That was a massive yikes. Let's see. Nagashima Spa Land will be forced to make a choice for their own Schwarzkopf shuttle loop, refurb, or demolish it. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna buy this because at some point they will have to do this. So this will be accurate whether it's in like a year or like 25 years. So definitely buying this. Because I mean, it's a older model. At some point, they're going to need to make that decision. Maintenance is probably difficult, so absolutely I will buy this one. Because technically, the only way I'd be wrong is if, like, I don't know, if it's, like, still operating, like, as normal and, like, I don't know, like 5 decades from now or something. Like, 100 years from now. So, I will buy it. That's a pretty easy one. You'll tweak the earlier question. Buy or sell Six Flags Cedar Fair will surprise everyone and come out with a universal pass for this coming summer. Boy, this is one that I can already feel it in terms of like now reviewing it. It makes it a lot more kind of real in terms of gotta really think about these and make sure I put my best guess forward, I suppose. I am still going. Oh man, that is so difficult because it shouldn't be that hard to do, but at the same time, it's like, would they do it this early? But you know what? Well, actually, no. I am actually going to say sell because, oh my god, it's so hard now that I think about it. Actually, no. I was going to go on a tangent, but I'm actually going to say buy. Because even though right now, like, you know, they're trying to sell their season passes and everything, theoretically, they could do something like if you already paid for a season pass and they put this new one out like by this summer, you can just pay the difference, I suppose. I think there's been some like passes that have been rolled out that are kind of like that. So I think that's what they're gonna do. Is like probably a pay the difference situation and roll it out this summer. Yep, I will buy it. That one I could definitely be wrong about. I think you've asked that in the past and that may have changed, but that's going to be my current answer for that is I will buy it. Buy or sell Stuntfall will be the first of Parquet Warner's coasters to be removed and it will happen by 2030. So I just need to get the entire like thing here. And okay, so about a minute left to put in your questions, so get them in if you haven't already. Relatively short, like I said, buy or sell, just because of the having already reviewed and whatnot. But kind of looking at the rest of their coasters, Coaster Express got a refurb pretty recently, so that one's safe. Batman Gotham City Escape, obviously very new. Their Mock Rides Youngstar Coaster, probably safe. Shadows of Arkham B&M Invert from 2002. Didn't get relocated. That one's probably good for a while, too. Floorless is also from 2002. That one's fine, probably. And then you have Azir Tivoli, which did get relocated. Oh, but okay, no. Essentially, it's operated here. Man, you know, I will buy it. I think out of all the coasters, it's the one that makes the most sense in terms of going first. Just kind of going through that whole lineup. And it is a rare model. So I will buy it. So, or nope, not repeat. Okay, that's the timer. I will still be answering questions that were put in, but that's the timer for putting in questions. But I will buy that for History and Leisure there. Buy or sell, within 20 years, enthusiasts will think of Europe as North America's equal in terms of the world's top 50 or 100 coasters. I'm going to sell, because if you're still saying like enthusiasts, I guess it's hard to say, because it's like, obviously a lot of the people that I talk with, not everybody, of course, especially even within the stream, but a lot of people I talk with and hear from and whatnot are American enthusiasts. And there's a lot of people who don't even really know like the names of the European coasters or know much about them. And so within that kind of sphere, I'm going to sell it. Now, I think it is possible that like, I mean, I think Europe, they've gotten some really good coasters, and I imagine they will continue to do so. But I think America will still be getting some, so I am going to sell that. But you could be on the right track there. That's just a very kind of hard question to answer. But I guess 20 years from now, in 2043, I could tell you. So. Of course, if it happens sooner, then, well, there you go. But, man, that would be, that's a tricky one. I like this one. Buy or sell, B&M will unveil a prototype train at IAPA next year. This one is so, I mean, they've done it the last 2 years. So, I kind of like where you're at. And then, now you have this Busch Gardens Williamsburg, like, B&M Family Invert Big Bad Wolf replacement, which it's not by any means like confirmed or anything, or even likely necessarily that it would have swinging trains. But considering how closely SeaWorld works with B&M, I wouldn't be stunned if somehow the trains for Big Bad Wolf were unique and had some sort of swinging feature. And I think they would probably show that at IAPA next year. So you already have that. You have the back-to-back years. Now, B&M previously didn't do this type of innovation quite as rapidly, so it's a little bit dangerous to buy it. But I feel like there's a few things going for it, so I will buy this. I will buy that B&M will unveil a prototype train at IAPA next year. Just hoping that somehow the Big Bad Wolf one for Busch Gardens Williamsburg, if that, I mean, of course that project may not happen, but I feel like it probably will. So, I will buy that, because I think that one's a possibility in and of itself enough already to buy that. So I think that works. Let's see. Buy or sell, Top Thrill 2 will be more reliable than Top Thrill 1. I mean, I'll buy it. I think I mean, that's the hope, right? That's like the whole reason they're doing it. Now, obviously, could it not work out? Sure. But I will buy it. because, I mean, for one, it's using LSM launches, so that should be theoretically a lot more reliable. And I am rooting for Zamperla in this case to succeed here, even if I myself am not the biggest fan of what ended up happening with Top Thrill Dragster, as you know, Dragster was one of my favorite all-time coasters, but you can't really change the past at this point, so I'm absolutely rooting for Zamperla to succeed here. So I will buy that Top Thrill 2. Will be more reliable for the reason that it has LSMs, and for hoping that Zamperla can really put themselves on the map with this success. So charged on PC, buy or sell Busch Gardens Williamsburg gets an RMC Hyper Hybrid at some point in the future. They did mention like an RMC as something like that fans had requested, I believe, in one of their events, like on a slideshow presentation, but that doesn't necessarily mean they'll get one. And, you know, it was rumored that they were thinking of getting one and they didn't, and that makes me believe they won't get one. So I am actually going to sell this. This is one of those ones where I'd love to be wrong. I mean, look how wrong I was about Wildcats Revenge, right? But it just seems like that sort of idea and direction has come and gone, if rumors are to be believed. So I am going to sell it, though once again, I would love to be wrong there. For sure. Buy or sell, the Flash at Great Adventure will not open before Halloween. Yeah, that is a, I understand that one, and you could be totally right about it. It's a little concerning, the lack of progress that's been had with that coaster. I'm not even, are they even completely in the clear with all the like county stuff yet? I'm not even sure. That being said, I am still going to sell this. I think it could be like a late July, like August opening. But I would be stunned. I mean, if it was going to open after Halloween, at that point, I mean, I guess they kind of have to open it because it's their 50th anniversary. So that actually is not a bad like prediction or like thinking there. But I'm going to sell it because that would be like, that'd be really bad if that actually happened. And I believe this is the last one from Frontier Coasters. Within the next few years, Six Flags New England will remove Flashback, and a new coaster will be put in the place of both Flashback and Goliath. I will buy it. It's the most obvious plot of land for New England to put in a new coaster, and removing Flashback as well gives them even more land to work with. So I will buy it. It seems to make a lot of sense, and that's, I mean, yeah, I would also love to see that. So I will definitely be buying that one already. So that is our mini buy the sell segment, and then we'll be moving on into guess the coaster. We'll be doing 8 rounds. Let's see how we're doing on time. I think we're doing all right. So we have guess the coaster next. So you all know how this works at this point. So, and actually, shoot, I just accidentally took out the live chat. So let me bring that back up while I also get a coaster that I'm trying to get, or trying to have you all guess. Let's see, let me get that here. Alrighty. There we go. Live chat is back. And I do have my coaster as well, so guess away in the chat. If you have not played this yet, you will figure out what we're doing pretty quickly. So, yeah, that's going to be the plan. So, guess the coaster starts now. So, it is not Loch Ness Monster. It's not Nessie. It does not have red. It's not red in any form in terms of supports or track. It's not blue. It is in the no, it is not in the US. But it is steel. I meant to say it is steel. It is not in the US though. So we have a steel coaster. It is not in Canada. It is not in North America. Is its name alliterative? No, it is not. Good question, but no. It is in Germany. So yes, we have a steel coaster in Germany. It is not Yukon Striker. So steel coaster in Germany. So that is where we are at. Actually, probably could get the questions up here. It is not Formula Rosa. It is not at Holiday Park. It's not Nessie, I know. It is not Colorado Adventure. It is not from Intamin. It is not a Gerstlauer. It is not a Mock. It is not at Hansa Park. It is not Dog Park Coaster. That is in Denmark. It is not Expedition G-Force. It is not at Trips Drill. It is not from Intamin. It is not El Toro, as in the GCI El Toro. It is not Woden. It is a steel coaster in Germany. That's basically what we have. It's not Silver Star. Also, welcome to the stream, Philip. It is not from Vekoma, but it is from B&M. It is not Crake, however. It is not Black Mamba. It is not Limit, but we do have a B&M coaster in Germany. It's not Schwarzkopf. It is at Heidi Park. It is not Beg Loop. It is not Desert Race. But we do have a B&M coaster at Heidi Park. And Charged on PC was the first to get it. It is Flug der Dämonen at Heidi Park, the B&M wing coaster. That looks quite good. So that is that. So let me get the scoreboard, as I have to rearrange a little bit. So Charged on PC is on the board with 1 point. And then, I don't know if I mentioned how many rounds we're doing. We'll do, I think, 6 for this stream. Yeah, I think that probably would work best. But I do have my next coaster, so guess away. It is, yep, it is in the USA. So we do have a US coaster, but it is not wooden. So far just US coaster. It is not in Europe. Already said so. US steel coaster, because it's not it's not wooden. It is not Intamin, and it is not east of the Mississippi River, and it is not in the Eastern time zone. So it is no, it's not in the deep south. At least as far as I can remember. It's not part of the deep south. It is a B&M. It is not in California. It is not Corkscrew, but it is in Texas. Sean Flaherty got it. I don't know if this was a random Hail Mary guess, but it is Goliath at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. So, wow. That was I don't even know if you necessarily meant like just said Goliath just to say Goliath, but hey, it worked. Man, my brother should have been in the chat. He always goes with that one first. But whatever the reason, yeah, Goliath at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. Random guess. Yep, there you go. Works out there. That is one of the more wild ones I can recall us having for Guess the Coaster. So good job there. And then we'll move on to our next coaster and the third round. So, let me get it. Alrighty, we have our next coaster, Guess Away. It is not in the US, so we're not a US coaster this time. It is in Europe, yes. It is not wooden. It is not in China. So we have a European coaster that is steel. So, European coaster that is steel. It is not in Germany. It is not from Intamin. It is not Piraten. I think that's how you pronounce it because I've been calling it Puritan for so long. Spain, it's not in Spain. It is not from B&M. It's not in Belgium. It's not from Mock Rides. It is not in the Netherlands, but it is in the UK. So we have a UK steel coaster. I believe I said it's not a B&M, so UK steel coaster is what we have so far. It is not Blue Fire. It is not Odyssey. It is not Big One. It's not Nemesis. It is not from Mock Rides. It is not Swarm. It's not 13. It's not Big One. It is not at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. It is not Smiler. It is not Defunct, but it is an Arrow. So we have an Arrow coaster in the UK. So it is not Saw the Ride. It is not The Ultimate. It is not Icon. It is not Walking Dead, the ride. It is not Swarm. So, Arrow coaster in the UK, and it is not at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Because that was someone already asked. It is not there. It is not Revolution. It is not Big Dipper. It is not Mine Train or a Mine Train of any sort. It is not an Arrow Mine Train. Marty, you're on the right track. You just gotta name it. You're on the right track. It is a suspended Arrow coaster, so at this point it's just up to whoever gets it. And Charged on PC came up first. Don't know how I wanna. I mean, I know what you're talking about, so I don't know how I want to do that one. But Charged on PC did get the name first. Yeah, I think I just got to give the point to Charged on PC there, but Marty, you were right. You thought of the right one. But yeah, Vampire is the correct answer. That is the second point for Charged on PC. So we'll move on to our next one. And I do have our next coaster. So guess away in the chat. Maybe you both get half a point. Well, all right, we'll do that. I will actually go for that because if you agreed to it, since I initially gave you the full point, we'll do that. So half a point for Charged on PC and half a point for Marty. So that's a good compromise. That actually is probably a good rule. I'll probably just go with that, actually. It is in the US. Yep. Not Europe, not Nessie. It is a steel coaster. Ooh, good question. Is it lap bars only? I would like to say yes. But you see, I have not ridden this coaster, and I do not recall the restraint setup. But I'm going to say yes, because I'm pretty sure it's lap bars only. It does not have inversions. It is not Bisbee Spiral Airship. It is not... The ride itself is not orange, but there is orange on the trains, so that might help. Does it have a CH sound? No. It is at a Six Flags park, but it is not east of the Mississippi. It is not in Ohio. It's not Cornball Express. It's not Florida. Not in Florida. And it is not Phoenix. So we have a Six Flags steel coaster that to my knowledge, has a lap bar setup, no inversions, has orange on the trains, and is west of the Mississippi. It is not in California. It's not Scream. It is not La Vibora. It is in Texas. So we have a Texas Six Flags steel coaster without inversions that has lap bars, to my knowledge. It is not Titan. It is not Steel Eel. It is over 100 feet tall. It is not from Intamin, and it is not at Frontier City. It is not Goliath. Not again. It is not Runaway Mountain. It is not Wonder Woman. It is not Titan. So, still going here. It is not Railblazer. Let me try to run through. So it's a Texas steel coaster at a Six Flags park that is over 100 feet. I said it is not an Intamin. All right, Philip got it. Just saw it in chat. It is Aquaman. Power Wave at Six Flags over Texas is the correct answer. I saw this coaster. I just did not write it. So Philip is on the board with a point. And we'll move on to our fifth round. Yep, there we go, fifth round. So, guess away. It is not in the US, so this is not a US coaster. And it is not wooden, so it is a steel coaster. Steel coaster outside of the US. It is not in Japan. Is its name meant to be scary? I mean, it's not like... that's a hard one to answer, and I think you'll understand once it's revealed. But to, like, the writer writing, probably not. But it could be argued, I guess. So I'm not going to give a strong answer there. It is not a B&M, it is not from Intamin, it is not in France, it is not Eurostar, it is not in Europe, it is not Skyscream, it is not in China, it is not Inferno, it is not Nemesis, and it is not Saw the Ride. It's not 13. It is not themed to birds. It is not Nefeskessen. It is not in South Korea. It is not in Canada. It is not Fire Whip. I actually don't even know what that is. Yes, it is in Mexico. So this coaster is in Mexico. So we have a steel coaster in Mexico. It is not Hypercoaster, and it's not Formula Rosa, it's not Zocon. It is not Medusa Steel Coaster. It is not Bullet. So neither of those. It is not Superman, El Ultimo, Scape. It's not Tarantula. Philip got it again. It is Batman the Ride at Six Flags Mexico, the Vekoma SLC. So, good guess there. And Philip now has the lead heading into our final round at 2 points. So, let me get the final coaster. Alrighty, I have our final coaster. Guess away. Batman and Goliath in the same stream. Those are that's pretty crazy. This coaster is not in the US and it is not wooden, but it is in Europe, so we have a European steel coaster. It is not Batman. Oh, and also the reason I said, because Batman is supposed to be intimidating to, like, the villains, but, like, is Batman the Ride exactly... Is that intimidating to a writer? I don't know. So that's why I was like, I didn't know if the name, how to answer the name thing. It is not in the US, it's not in Japan, it's not Wild Train, it is not in Germany, but it is in the UK. It is not Goliath. But we do have a UK steel coaster. It's not Daemonin. It is not in Denmark. It is not a B&M. It is not Ice Speed. It's not in Belgium. It's not Swarm. It is not at Alton Towers. It is not Odyssey, not Smiler, not 13, not at Paulton's Park, not Saw the Ride, not Flying Fish, not Vampire again, not at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, not Big One, not Big Dipper, not Hyperia, not at Thorpe Park. So we still have UK Steel Coaster, basically. Is that where we're at? It is not Walking Dead. It is not Sick. It is not Colossus. Is it at a chain park? It is at a chain park, yes. It is not at Chessington. It is not an Intamin, so not an Intamin. It is not at Flamingo Land. It is not Hero. This park is a chain park, but you might not think it is. It is not in the Merlin chain. It is not Jumanji. It is not Dragon's Fury. It is not Megaphobia. It is at Drayton Manor. Yes, that is the park that it is at. It is not Dragon. It is not Speed. And Jace got it. It is G-Force at Drayton Manor, the defunct Mauer coaster. That is the correct answer. So, there you go. So, Jace is on the board with a point. And that'll wrap up our Guess the Coaster. Really good guess there. But our winner for Guess the Coaster is Philip, who got 2 points. Technically, if you wanted to, technically you could also say that Charged on PC, if wasn't so generous to give half a point to Marty, would also have 2 points. So you could say like co-winners if you want to go that way. But Philip is our winner for Guess the Coaster. And then we'll be moving on into our last big segment before final Q&A, which is a countdown. This is going to be ranking every new park I visited in 2023. And while I'm going through these, I'm going to try to do to look at the chat, so that way I can also see thoughts and kind of have some interaction, because I know with these countdowns I've kind of at points kind of neglected the chat, and I want to, in this case, kind of interact more with like the comments made about the parks, maybe talking about your experiences if you've been there. But with that being said, yeah, I am gonna rank every new park I visited in 2023 with 2 honorable mentions. Basically, I visited 10 actual new parks. And then 2 I visited for the first time, either as an enthusiast or I got the credits, and those 2 will be honorable mentions, even though I had technically been to them prior. And speaking of those, I'll get to those pretty quickly. Blackbeards is one of those honorable mentions, and I some people are curious. Philip's curious to see where Enchanted Forest is. It is on the list, but for honorable mentions, I have 2 of them. Playland Fresno is one of them. I have not been to this park since I was a toddler, at least prior to this year. I went back here on reopening day, and it was cool to do. Never had been to a park on an opening or reopening day, so it was a new experience for me to check that out. Local park has mostly kids rides. Unfortunately, and this is a bit of recent news, this has not been a good and successful reopening for the new operators. So the park is actually potentially permanently closing on January 14th, which is just kind of crazy to think about, considering like it just so recently reopened after like a 2 to 3 year hiatus. Which is very unfortunate. But yeah, I mean that obviously is unfortunate. But as for the park itself, it was a local park. Like I said, had not been here in a long time. Very much kid oriented in its park and ride collection. Dragon Coaster was the coaster credit you could ride there, which is a Lil Phantom clone. Which, if you are still interested in going to this park before it closes, if you're like in the area, you can get the credit as long as you have a second person with you. It can be a child or adult. You just have to have a second rider. I mean, if you're in the area, at this point, the park is not going to make it. But if you want to check it out, it is a little expensive because it's like $10 to $15 admission, which is a lot less than what it once was with $5 parking. But if you want to get the credit, I mean, this is your final opportunity. So if you have the opportunity, then would check it out. My favorite attraction here was actually a thing called the Whizzer. It's like this manual, like you have a person on each side, or I guess up to 2 people, and you like kind of pull back and forth. It's a like pretty simple carnival ride, but I had never like done anything like it, so that was kind of cool. That was my favorite attraction here. So yeah, that is Playland Fresno. Hopefully a new operator is able to come in and save it, because otherwise it could very well be biting dust after all these years. So that is unfortunate. And then the next one we have is Blackbeard. So this is another local park, local family entertainment center that I finally got to get the credit at this year with Jace from 808 Coaster Life. First coaster we rode on the trip, actually rode it right after picking him up from the airport. But pretty much has an arcade, mini golf, some rides, go-karts. Very solid FEC if you want to do mini golf. I mean, I probably people from out of town aren't going to spend a ton of time here, probably mostly going to go for the credit. But if you are going for the credit, I would definitely highly recommend this place, because this park, for the few who have been there as enthusiasts, have actually given very positive reviews. I've heard of stories of like the coaster being closed on the day of, and supposedly they reached out to the park and they let them ride. They got an operator out and let them ride. And then in my experience, the ride op let us cycle until we asked them to stop, which is awesome. Especially if you want to get a bunch of laps on the coaster for like literally only paying the one price. I don't know if that's a super common thing, but I've heard very good reviews from those who have just stopped to get the credit. If you want to get a bunch of laps on the coaster, pretty good to do that. They have an ENF Miler Kiddie Coaster there, which is my favorite attraction there. Definitely a fun kiddie coaster, one of the better ones I've done. So definitely would recommend it if you're in the area. It costs about $6 to ride, so not too bad at all as far as credits go, for sure. So especially in California, that is. So yeah, if you're in the area, would definitely recommend getting the credit. So there you go. Playland Fresno should be number 1. Aren't they getting T-Rex? Yeah. This is why Jace traveled. Yeah, for Blackbeards, definitely. Yep, made the trip. Andre, happy to see you in the stream. I am doing well. Happy early new year to you as well, and actually to all of you. Probably should have mentioned that earlier. Good shout out there. But I am doing well. Hope you are doing well as well. And with that being said, we'll move on to the top 10 of this ranking, which is starting off with the 10th park the park that I rank here in 10th of the new parks that I went to, Fun Spot America Kissimmee. Now, just because I rank the parks low doesn't mean that they're bad. I enjoyed my time at all these parks, so I actually should have started off with that. I was here for 30 minutes, so this is probably the shortest park visit I've ever had. I went here before I went back to the airport, basically, to ride Mindblower and Hurricane. Only got one ride on them, but I enjoyed them both. They seem to have a very solid collection, a very good collection of rides, especially for like an FEC. An excellent collection for sure. Some really good looking go-karts. Obviously, you have the Sky Coaster. I didn't do the Sky Coaster here, but I did it at the other Fun Spot, and that's a ton of fun. So they have a very good ride lineup that I just have not experienced a lot of. So that's potentially part of the reason that this ranks low. But one of the other things I will mention is it definitely felt that between Fun Spot Orlando and this park, that Orlando gets a lot more love. And so I think that this park could have used a little TLC, maybe could have looked a little nicer, because they have the lake in the middle, like, and there's certainly like, it has nice attributes to it. I just think that in terms of the look of the place, it could be upkept a little better. Just based off my experience and comparing it to Fun Spot Orlando, which, like I said, you could just kind of tell got a lot more love. And yeah, but like I said, park could definitely rise in my overall park rankings. After riding more rides, I just did only 2 rides, so kind of hard to rank super high. My favorite ride here was Mind Blower. I did ride it after the 208 retrack. Marty asked. Yep. I rode it after the 208 retrack and after the refurbishment they had of that to kind of fix the jolts. I think I rode it the day after it reopened, after the second sort of refurb they had with it. And the wooden sections are really rough. The transitions were not, from wood to steel was not really that big of an issue in my experience. Unlike when they were, when it first opened with the track. The wooden sections were really rough, but that layout is so good. I mean, the airtime on that ride is really good. The pacing is excellent. The barrel roll inversion is really sick. I really enjoyed the ride. At this point, though, since they've already partially retracted with steel, they might as well just go the whole way. But I did like experiencing it with both wood and steel. I thought that was kind of unique. Even though I've done like Lightning Rod, which is a similar situation, and even 2 GCIs now with Titan Track, I thought that was pretty neat. So that is Fun Spot America Kissimmee. Definitely would recommend going to for the rides, even though I only did 2 of them. Mind Blower is worth it for sure if you just want to stop by like I did. And it seems like it could also be a lot of fun to do beyond that, for sure. The next park I have is Oaks Amusement Park in Portland, Oregon. This is a very nice, small, very historical classic park. This is like one of the oldest parks on the West Coast that is still operating. It's been around for over 100 years, and you can feel that with some of the they still have a lot of classic attractions. They have that roller skating rink, which is the oldest skating rink, at least in America. Might even be more so than that, which was really cool to experience. I did do that. If you haven't seen my vlog I did of it, it was a very cool thing to do there. But it has a nice setting near the lake as well. The only thing is I think the park would be higher if I thought they had a better standout attraction. My favorite ride here was Adrenaline Peak. I know for some people the Rocco Plane is something that ranks really highly. I did experience it. I didn't have the best ride on it. And I don't know necessarily that it's my type of ride anyways. It was still cool to do for sure, but I know for some people that would be their favorite ride there. Not personally for me. For me, it was Adrenaline Peak. It was a fun standout coaster for a park this small. Definitely fits very well as a standout coaster. Has some good elements, even with the short layout. Good vertical drop, or beyond vertical drop. Some nice inversions. And a little bit of airtime here and there. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty neat. And they have a lot of classic rides. I got to do a bunch of classic flat rides I hadn't done. The Rocco Plane, like I said, the Spider as well. First, the Imperla inverting frisbee I had ever done, I did there. So it was a nice park as well to experience a lot of different rides that I've seen at other parks, but because of how big their ride and coaster collections are, I haven't had the chance to do. It was nice to do some of those here. Also, their kiddie coaster is great. They have the E&F Miler kiddie coaster. It's a good one as far as kiddie credits go, so we'll also give that one a shout out. Next, we have Fun Spot America Orlando, which comes in at 8th. Pretty much, I thought this was Fun Spot America Kissimmee is definitely also a souped up FEC, but I thought this one was a lot nicer in vibe. I did also go at night, so that did probably help with all the lights and everything. But, I mean, it looks great at night, has some good vibes there as well. A good variety of attractions as well. You have the go-karts as well here. Good lineup of coasters. I was only able to experience White Lightning because the suspended coaster was down, and the kiddie coaster I ended up skipping. But the Sky Coaster, I did that here. That was incredible. My first ever Sky Coaster. That was awesome. Also did the weird, the almost, not, it's not a Starflyer, but like the Starflyer type ride. That's like, you know, relatively small, that had the flying seats. I had never done one of those, and I went in the flying seat, so that was actually pretty interesting to check out. But White Lightning, it was kind of White Lightning. I would say I actually enjoyed the Sky Coaster more here, but with it being an upcharge, I don't necessarily know that that's something I would do every visit I have here. And also, I'd like to do the Kissimmee one since it's even taller. But I decided to put White Lightning here because that's the ride that if I visit here more often, that's going to be the more regular ride I check out. And it is a very fun wooden coaster. Has some nice airtime and some good pacing. I thought it was very enjoyable, and I thought it was relative. It was not. It didn't really have a roughness issue either. So, and Marty, you also really enjoy White Lightning. Yeah, it's a fun coaster. Only got to ride it twice, but I mean, it's definitely one of those that if the line's short, which usually tends to be, and you just want to have a fun time marathoning a coaster, this is a great one to do that, especially in Orlando. So yeah, very fun park to check out. Would also recommend this one for sure. At 7, I have Beach Bend. Now, the main reason I rank this park over the other parks, even though I think I enjoy maybe the atmosphere of Fun Spot and Oaks Park a little more than this one, is because of the ride lineup and Kentucky Rumbler. But before I get to that, and actually, let's see, Sanford Bridge Road, going back to White Lightning Road. White Lightning, when it was first open, it was glass smooth. I still thought it held up pretty nicely. I'm going to be honest, I was riding at night, and I couldn't see where the Titan track was. And on this coaster, I didn't really notice it that much. Not nearly as much compared to, like, say, Kentucky Rumbler, but that's a much bigger section as well. But going back to Beach Bend, and you also went to Beach Bend this year. Awesome to see that, Marty. And Kentucky Rumbler, it was a really good wooden coaster. I rode this the day after Hollywood Nights. Obviously, it didn't quite measure up to those wooden coasters, but it was a really good GCI still. Rode it within, I forget if it was a week or 2 weeks of it reopening after the Titan track and the retracked wooden sections. But, I mean, it was running awesome. It's a fun small park also that it has a lake in the center as well, which is nice. And has some interesting quirks. It's located in the middle of nowhere, so pretty memorable for that reason. You know, you're kind of driving through a decent sized like city, and then you just go on a long drive through farmland, and then boom, there's a big wooden coaster. So that's kind of memorable and interesting. As you can see in the picture, it's literally just farmland around there. You have the free sunscreen, which is nice. The Kentucky Rumbler, funnily enough, also has the shop and restaurant, which at this park feels very odd that they had a dedicated thing to that, but that's pretty cool as well. This park also had some lax ride-ops that you would not necessarily see at a big corporate park, so that was also interesting. Not necessarily anything bad, but just like you could definitely tell in general a little bit more of a relaxed vibe. So, like I would say, like more permanent fairground with like higher end rides was kind of the vibe there. But good variety of rides. Almost everything was open at one point as well, which also was impressive. My other favorite rides besides Kentucky Rumbler, which I already mentioned, Zero G, the first Larson drop tower I ever got to ride. That was an awesome drop tower. And then Haunted House, which is their dark ride, was also a very fun ride to do. But Kentucky Rumbler, that was the star of the show. Had really good pacing when I rode it, some solid laterals, and some really strong airtime for a GCI. It was running really well when I was there. So definitely, it's a hard park to get out to, but you know, if you're doing Hollywood Nights, or you find yourself near the area, I would definitely check out this park for Kentucky Rumbler. At least in my experience, I did think it was worth it. So, yeah, that's Beach Bend. And then I got a lot more comments. Let's see. When you rode Kentucky Rumbler, it had horrible potholes, but you really liked the atmosphere of the park. That's good to hear, at least that you like the park in general. But yeah, I had heard in previous years it was horribly rough. I rode it 8 times. Like, I did not think roughness was a problem at all. But that was right after retrack, so that's probably a bit of an outlier there. Titan track on it is great. Yeah, I still think it feels a little weird. I think I described it. It's like, it doesn't feel the same as like iBox track or like most steel track. It has a texture to it that I can't tell if it's like supposed to try to replicate being a wooden coaster or what the deal is there, but it is interesting. But it's for this coaster, it's kind of put on a section that I think is kind of a dud element anyways. And so what it ends up doing is it makes the pacing better throughout some of the, like, a lot of the rest of the layout. At least that's kind of how I felt. And I think I had heard that it was running a lot faster, which was great in my experience. So, horse ranches on the drive up were like postcards of Kentucky. Yep, there you go. I did not write Scat 2. I looked at it. I considered writing it. It was down when I first got there, but it was open by the time I left. There was there were I think a few enthusiasts who wrote it, and who got sick on it. So that let me know that it was probably not a good idea to do. So yeah, that ride looked insane. I did not check it out. Word of caution, I mean, I guess I didn't experience it but from based off what I've heard, yeah, be careful if you actually do attempt to ride that. That ride is wild. But we'll move on to our next park, which is Six Flags Over Texas. So this one has kind of flipped back and forth in where I ranked it. I think if I'm correct, after the trip, like immediately afterwards, I think I may have said that this was my favorite new park I did. Between this, Beach Bend, and another park that will appear on the list. But after thinking about it more, I was only at this park for like between 3 to 4 hours. I liked a lot of aspects of it, but I didn't feel like I got the full experience, and there's still a lot of rides I needed to ride. So I kind of thought, and also there's the factor of this park was a last minute decision, and so it was like pretty exciting to go there and kind of out of the blue. So I think that excitement also kind of factored into my early praise of it. But I figured, kind of looking through, it's like, I think I will raise it higher once I've had a much more overall, like, actual experience at the park. But what I will say is, I did think that Over Texas was one of the better looking and better themed Six Flags parks that I've been to. Not necessarily everywhere, but there's definitely some sections that look really nice. So I thought that was one area where Over Texas was quite good. I thought operations and dispatch times were also quite good, especially for Six Flags standards when I was there. They have a varied and deep ride and coaster lineup. They just kind of lack a serious elite coaster. My favorite ride there was Mr. Freeze, which awesome coaster. Got to do it forwards. Would be curious to check it out doing backwards if I got the opportunity. But going forwards, I mean, this ride has some absolutely absurd elements. The inverted top hat, you get ejector airtime going into it, which is just insane. Like ejector airtime going upside down, which is just absurd. The positives on it are very strong. And then that spike is the greatest spike of any coaster I've ever ridden. I mean, with the launches pulling you up, that sense of weightlessness is just absurd. And the launch on it going out is also pretty nice as well. So there's just a lot to like with Mr. Freeze. Also very much enjoyed Shockwave as well. That was my second favorite. News Texas Giant was a good ride as well. And then Batman the Ride and Monk others as well. Titan was fun as well. They like I said, varied and deep ride lineup, and I have not even experienced a lot of their rides. So, like I didn't do Spelunker Cave because it was closed. I haven't done Aquaman. There were just a lot that I ended up missing out on because of weather was really what ultimately was the reason. Storm ended up coming in during the day, so but still had a great time here. Still not done Six Flags Over Texas. I mean, based off what I've done, definitely when you're in Texas, and if you go to Texas, definitely a park that would make sense to go to and I would recommend. Yeah, Mr. Freeze, it's really good. My favorite Premier coaster. I have not tried the food, so that is like, so that's one of the things. I had no food at Over Texas, which I'm pretty sure I've had food at every other Six Flags park I've been to. So this is the only one where I can't even judge it off that merit. So that's one of those things where it's like I didn't experience that part of it. I experienced that at most of the other parks I went to, so or that are higher anyways. So I can't speak on that. I mean, I don't really know unless it was like actually like really good. I don't think it would like affect the ranking that much. But your 500th coaster was Titan, nice. I enjoyed it a lot more than a fair bit more than Goliath at Magic Mountain. I think that extra upwards helix was a really good element. It was my favorite element on it. Maybe that's just because I'm so used to Goliath, but I thought it was the best element on the ride. And added a lot. I also just in general thought it ran a little better, but it was pretty hot the day I was there, so that kind of rounds out. And makes sense, although Magic Mountain also gets really hot too, and I've been on some very hot days, so I don't know, I just felt like it ran a little better. But yeah, that's Six Flags Over Texas. Would love to return at some point here, hopefully in the not too distant future, to get a bit more of a full experience, but was still a really fun park to check out. Buying me a drink at Six Flags Over Texas. Much appreciated, Stamford Bridge, for the donation. Next, we have the probably hardest park for me to rank, and that was Enchanted Forest here at 5. So this is obviously in Oregon. Had the very fortunate opportunity to visit this park because this park is probably out of all of these the most like hard to get to. Well, that and Beach Bend probably, but this is definitely a hard one to get to. Not including the honorable mentions for most people, but Enchanted Forest, extremely unique family theme park with an amazing setting in the forest. I mean, the forest just envelops you in a lot of the park. The buildings, theming, and vibe is so charming. And I mean, the theming here, it is so impressive considering that most of it was done by one person or like the family. So I mean, just look at that, the witch. I mean, that's obviously the thing that gets a bunch of pictures, but you also have a lot like the castle and various other, the fountain show as well, which I'll go into, but there's so much to do. The biggest thing here is that if you go to this park, make sure to do the walkthroughs. There are some people who I know who have been, who they kind of were expecting to go here, just do the rides and leave. You're going to want to do the walkthroughs, especially if you're a theme park fan. They are really fun to do. They have a lot of interactive activities. I did a lot of the slides here. Like the shoe one comes to mind as being a really good one, but there's also another one that was kind of twisty in the Old West section. You also have several animatronics in various places, some interactive buttons where you press something and the animatronics do something. Some tight spaces as well, like I did the Alice in Wonderland, like crawling through. Which was fun to do, and very much like I said, family theme park. But hey, if you're down to like do all this stuff, it is very fun. The fountain show is really neat. Make sure to check that out as well. Was a very nice spectacle, and it's indoors and in the dark, so that's obviously really nice. And they have some very quirky attractions as well. The haunted house, if that's one that it's a fun one to do, but it's like, it's not super scary per se, but it was interesting to check out. Some fun animatronics and little bits there. Big Timber Log Ride was a fun log attraction. This is not a coaster in my opinion. I'm seeing some comments in the chat. I'll get to those in a second. Ice Mountain Bobsled was a really interesting and unique coaster. That was really fun. Got to do it in both the front and back row. And front row, better for the visuals and for the first hill, but the back row was a little more crazy overall. Not quite as smooth, a lot more janky. And there's this like twisted drop that is really good in the back row. So I will mention that. I think I slightly preferred back row to front, but you can't go wrong either way. And my favorite ride ended up being Challenge of Mondor. That's the trackless shooting dark ride. Was a really big surprise. Really cool to see this technology being incorporated at this kind of park. You wouldn't expect to see it. The theming was also very neat. Kind of similar vibe as like a lot of the rest of the theming in terms of the feel it has, but the scale of it was pretty ambitious, and the large scale animatronics, very limited movement obviously, but still very cool designs and cool to see and cool targets to hit. A little bit of a learning curve to aim, but it's still a very fun ride. So yeah, that is Challenge of Mondor, my favorite ride. Biggest knock on this place isn't really something that is like it's not really so much of a knock. It's just revisitability is kind of the biggest thing, because if you've gone here before, like, I mean, I would still love to revisit, but like how, like, it's not a place that it's like you would just be dying to go back to like year after year or something like that. Just because the capacity of rides is pretty low. You have to do the pay-per ride system. That's like, which makes sense because the capacity is like incredibly low. And then also the park isn't realistically, probably just because of the area and space limitations, and considering that, I mean, they barely survived the pandemic, probably isn't going to get a new attraction, a major new attraction anytime soon. But even with that said, if you've never been here before, I mean, I highly recommend it. If you're in Portland, if you're in Oregon in general, like, find a way to get here is what I would say. So Enchanted Forest, really awesome park. And scariest element is the claustrophobia and tunnels made for kids. Yeah, that is, I mean, some of them are pretty tight. Walk through a haunted house. I thought it was fun. Ice Mountain Bobsleds was super unique. Oh my, you got a trimless ride on the Ice Mountain Bobsleds. That's so sick. I wish I got that. But that's awesome. Yeah, they have a trackless dark ride. Yep. It's a massive surprise for, like, in fact, it could technically be a spoiler. Because I don't know how many people actually know going in that it's a trackless dark ride. But I mean, yeah, it's really cool. Similar vibe to Efteleen's Enchanted Forest. I want to go to Efteleen so bad. I've heard the Idlewild comps too, which that actually intrigues me to go there as well. And then, yeah, if Efteleen, that's like super high bucket list. So, and this park has been compared to Efteleen, so I was like, this is a nice taste of that, even though I'm sure they're different with the Fairy Tale Forests there, but about the most similar thing you're probably gonna find. So that is great to hear. So that is Enchanted Forest. My number 4 is Kentucky Kingdom in Louisville, Kentucky. Very solid park all around. It's kind of interesting. It has kind of a weird identity right now because in some ways it feels like a Six Flags park, but I still would say it feels very much like a uniquely, like, kind of very local park, just kind of vibes wise. But you have like some inklings of like Hershen being involved because they have like that restaurant that's like very Hershend, and they have the cinnamon bread, which I did not have when I was here, unfortunately. I had it at Dollywood previously. And I did not do the water park either, so that also, if I did check it out, that might factor into the rankings a bit. Like I didn't do any of the water slides or anything of that sort. But this park, very good. Also, yeah, very bizarre park layout as well. There's most of the coasters are on the second side or second half of the park, which is the half where the water park's in. So that's also kind of interesting having to navigate as well. But reason why this park is here, very solid variety of rides and quality over quantity ride and coaster lineup with a fantastic top two. Obviously that top two being Storm Chaser, and then my personal favorite coaster at the park, Lightning Run. I mean, that ride, the airtime strength on it, that finale is awesome. But I mean, just overall, that ride, the airtime strength is amazing. Really good layout. Very much enjoyed that, especially for such a ride that's not a stat monster at all. Really, really excellent ride. And then pretty much just some things to mention. When I was there was one train operations, and dispatches were not necessarily the fastest, but it wasn't an issue because there was relatively low crowds the day I went. But we'll just mention that because I know some of the coasters can only run with one train, like Lightning Run, I'm pretty sure. So just keep that in mind when you're going. But like, would still highly recommend this place for the coaster lineup. And then I would like to see a little more promise and input from Hershend into the park. It seems like a very solid park as is already. That could be made even better. With some ride investments. I mean, something replacing T3 would be good, along with the standing but not operating water coaster. And maybe just some general area and operation improvements could help the park out. But it's still a very nice park for sure. And then looking at the chat, enjoyed Kentucky Kingdom a lot, didn't care for the atmosphere. It's kind of weird. You had cinnamon bread at Kentucky Kingdom. Nice. Yeah, that's a new addition. You got on Storm Chaser as well. That's good. You've had previous visits where it closed in front of you. Yeah, that's always unfortunate when that happens. I mean, I'll give a good shout also to the other coasters. Kentucky Flyer is a very good family wooden coaster. Has some very nice airtime on it. But is very smooth. And then Thunder Run, if you ride it after it's warmed up a bit, in the front row or like towards the front, it's actually a very solid ride. Still very much the first leg of the coaster very much is what carries it, with the airtime being really strong. But it's still enjoyable. Outside of that, even if the forces are pretty weak after that. But it does have a very strong first portion. Yeah, I would agree. No bad coaster there. The roller skater is a roller skater, so yeah, I would agree there. So we'll move on to my third park, which is SeaWorld Orlando. So spoiler alert, the next parks are going to be all in Orlando. Not probably too big of a surprise. But I thought this park looked really good. It was a beautiful looking park, had some really good scenery and landscaping. So, and they have some really good themed areas. I mean, Antarctica, especially in terms of how it looks awesome. So, wanted to give that a shout out. Some exhibits also look really nice as well. And speaking of the exhibits, I tried to make sure that I checked all of them out. My favorites were the Antarctica exhibit with the penguins. That is a phenomenal exhibit. Manatee Turtle Manatee Turtle Rescue was also really cool. I'd never seen manatees before, so that was a cool exhibit to check out. Wild Arctic was another good one with some solid theming and design. And then the Shark Encounter is also a very good shark exhibit. For those who don't know, I actually like visiting aquariums. It was like my sort of passion. My passion's always been traveling, but visiting zoos and aquariums has been a thing even before theme parks. I'm not quite as passionate as I used to be, but I do try to check these things out when they're incorporated in the parks. So, and I think they do a very good job there. So, the ride lineup is very much high quality over quantity. I do think it could use a little more variety. They really could use a true dedicated dark ride. They've used to have them, but now they don't. So I think they really could use that. Just given the weather and like how well themed the park and how good the park looks, it's like they probably should have a dark ride. I also did get to do Hallow Scream. Didn't do all the mazes, but they had the mazes I wasn't so impressed with. But they had some cool scare zones. The scare actors were really good, so we'll mention that. Good opportunities for night rides as well. Great opportunity, actually. And then my favorite ride here ended up being Mako, which was it's my second favorite B&M Hyper I've done behind Goliath. Airtime is really good on it, and pretty strong as well. Obviously, you know, the ending part of it isn't like the most exciting thing ever, but outside of that, pretty much before that section, and it's still like scenic, so I mean that's nice. But before that, this ride really delivers on the airtime. So I was pretty impressed with it, and it has decent variety. You have some good like sustained floater and not quite ejector, but some more stronger pops on some of the smaller hills, including like the speed hills. So I think it's really good. I should also shout out Manta is a really good flying coaster here as well. Not quite as good as Tatsu for me, but honestly closer than what I was expecting. It was really good. Icebreaker has some really good airtime, and I do really enjoy the going forwards and backwards section in the front row. Actually, I thought that was the better part of it for that section. The rest of the ride I preferred in back row. Pipeline was an unexpected surprise. I actually have that over Icebreaker. Really unique ride. Can't find that anywhere else. And I was not able to ride Kraken because it was down for maintenance, so I can't speak on that one. But even Journey to Atlantis was actually a really good water coaster. Infinity Falls was also really fun. So they got a nice ride lineup for sure. So looking at the chat, T3 was bad. Well, I didn't do it. I saw it, but obviously was defunct by that point. Thunder Run was better than you expected. Had no reputation when you wrote it. Pleasantly surprised me for sure. SeaWorld Orlando, I do have it over San Diego, but I haven't been in a long, like since 2017, so not saying much, but yeah, definitely I would agree there. Mako is your favorite B&M Hyper. That's fair. It's a really good one. I have it over Shambhala and Diamondback for whatever that's worth. The other two B&M Hypers I've done. I do not have it over Orion for those who consider that a hyper. They're pretty close. And yeah, you should definitely, I would recommend SeaWorld Orlando, and I'm hoping to go back next year as well and do Penguin Trek and Kraken, so should be a fun time for sure. I did the kiddie coaster as well. It's a kiddie coaster. Nothing too much to say there for Super Grovers, so yeah. But yeah, SeaWorld Orlando comes in at third. Next is Universal Studios Florida. You know, I really enjoyed this park. I think the biggest issue is there's a few issues specifically, which I'll just get into. They don't have an elite ride, in my opinion. They do have what I think could be considered an elite attraction with Born Stuntacular. That is an amazing show and is something you definitely should check out if you're at Universal Studios Florida. It's one of the best things in the entire resort, Born Stuntacular. Really impressive show. For sure, I got to see it twice with Christian from Theme Park Horizons, so that was awesome. But in terms of rides, I don't know that they have an elite ride, and they have a few what I call waste of spaces and potential. You have Fast and Furious Supercharged, which, I mean, yeah, no one really. I think that one's pretty obvious. Has a huge building as well, so whatever replaces it has a lot of potential. And then like rides like Jimmy Fallon is just kind of like not really all that great, and probably could get replaced in the near future, I would hope. And then even like they went from Shrek 4D to Villain Con. I mean, Villain Con is better than Shrek 4D, but like I didn't think it was all that great. But without those things out of the way, let's talk about why this park is good. For one, they have really good operations and dispatches from when I was there. I mean, it's a universal park, so they're gonna obviously excel in that department. Diagon Alley, I wasn't there for too long, but it was a really neat looking themed area. The visual of the Gringotts Bank is awesome. The area is a little tight, like more tight than I expected, but it is really nice. And then the rides they have, I mean, they have just very good collection. I mean, Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket was my favorite ride here, but Revenge of the Mummy was another really good coaster. Men in Black Alien Attack is my favorite shooting dark ride I've ever done. It is really fun. So gotta give that one a shout out. Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts is a very enjoyable dark ride coaster sort of combination. So I very much enjoyed that one. You also have Transformers the Ride, which is very enjoyable as well. Even though I have that at Hollywood, it was fun to get back on it there. And so, I mean, those rides right there are all like very good, so very enjoyable. So I definitely think that this park is underrated in that aspect. They have a lot of very good rides that it's just like, since they don't have that elite one, a lot of people focus on that, and they have some not so good rides for sure. But we'll get to Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket, which the onboard audio, for those wondering, I did Darude Sandstorm for most of my rides. They changed the soundtrack a few months ago, so the pickings are different. But the secret menu or secret song list is still there. So if you want to check that out, but that was an awesome ride. I mean, I thought the elements really hit. Yes, the ride is not like smooth by any means, but I didn't think it was as bad as some people made it out to be. And even the mid-course brake runs, it's like, even though, yeah, they would hit, I mean, the drops coming off of them were so strong. It's like, yeah, it was really good. And so, I mean, I just love the ride. Awesome airtime, some really nice elements, and just, I mean, the atmosphere from the soundtrack playing is awesome. So I definitely really enjoyed it. So that is Universal Studios Florida. I think a slept-on park at this point, and I hope it continues to improve. Just looking at the comments, you think the Harry Potter area in USF at Universal Studios Florida is one of the most impressively themed areas in the world, that it was stunning. I mean, yeah, you have that and Hogsmeade, which I think both are absolutely excellent. So I wish I could have spent more time in Diagon Alley, but from what I saw, it was really cool. For sure. And Halloween Horror Nights. I didn't have the greatest experience with it. I still enjoyed it. Like, I got to do 8 of the houses. Got to see the show. Why am I forgetting the name of it? But the one show they had this year that was really neat. Of course, these events, like, they change it every year, so it's not exactly super applicable, but very high quality event with some really good production with the houses and show, and Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket night ride opportunities. Also, obviously, a plus there, especially because it doesn't have that long of a wait usually. The mazes will, or the houses will, but not Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket. Even as someone who went on a sold out night, I can say that. It's just, for me personally, I had some pretty bad luck with crowds and weather that I mentioned previously, so hopefully I'll be back here and get a better experience with the event, but also kind of factored into the ranking because it was still, a lot of the mazes were fun to do, or the houses were fun to do, and it was still a cool event to check out, so that also factors in. But with that being said, my number one favorite park is going to be Universal's Islands of Adventure. This is the only park that I would say is like truly elite that I went to. I mean, this is one of my all-time favorite parks. It's in my top 5 of all time. Amazing range and variety of attractions. I mean, just so much. You got Velocicoaster, you got Spider-Man, you have Forbidden Journey, Hagrid's, Incredible Hulk, and this is not in any particular order. Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls, Popeyes. I didn't even mention first Universal Studios. E.T. is another really good ride at Studios, not at Islands. Cat in the Hat is a train wreck, but it's really enjoyable. Doctor Doom, Jurassic Park, which most of the time would be quite good, and when I visited, it was full of scaffolding, so that sort of took away from the ride. But I've ridden the Hollywood one before it was Jurassic World as Jurassic Park, so I can kind of apply that experience to Orlando's. But this park is awesome. Some amazing looking themed areas, Hogsmeade and the Lost Continent, which probably won't be around for much longer, but at least it looks really cool. I was not able to do Poseidon's Fury because that had closed. Also, this park has, once again, amazing operations and dispatches. The rides have phenomenal presentation. I mean, look at Velocicoaster. I mean, that ride is just amazing. Mythos is a really good restaurant. One of the better ones I've been to at a theme park. I don't think it's the best one I've ever been to, but it's still definitely up there. Really neat atmosphere and interior design and exterior design for that matter. Very visually impressive, and the food was excellent. And then, we'll get to my favorite ride, which is Velocicoaster. One of the absolute best coasters I have ridden. My number 4 overall coaster. I guess I'll spoil it for those who haven't seen the top 100. But that is where it ranks. I mean, if you want the best blend of theming and thrills that that I've ever ridden, this is it. I mean, amazing queue line with the Velociraptor animatronic. I mean, that thing looks like almost like just ridiculously real. And I mean, the presentation of the ride outside of it, I mean, all the plants and the rock work is phenomenal. And then the actual ride itself, I mean, I will say, I think the ride does need to warm up a bit because the first half in the morning does not, you need to wait for it to warm up a little bit, at least in my opinion, because I thought the first half in the morning was not quite hitting outside of the inversions. But once it does warm up a little bit, I mean, it's pretty phenomenal, like all the way through. From the first half and then into the second half with that second launch, which really kickstarts my favorite part of the ride with that second half. I mean, that top hat, the off-axis hills, the Mosasaurus roll, and even the final few hills and airtime moments heading into the brake run. Don't sleep on those. Those are actually pretty strong. I was surprised by how strong those were. I mean, it's just an amazing coaster full of incredible elements. And I mean, it's one of the best out there that I've ridden. So, and this park is one of the best I've ever been to. So, yep, that is my list right there. I'll go through the final comments. Islands of Adventure is your favorite park in the country. Can definitely respect that and see where you're coming from. It is absolutely phenomenal. Unlike really, even though, yes, there's some similarities with the other Universal parks, I still think it feels very different from most of those. Outside of the fact that, Hogsmeade, I have it at Hollywood. But it's very unique, and the ride lineup is amazing, and the theming is awesome. Islands of Adventure, also your favorite park, Coaster Evan. Once again, can totally understand that. Cat in the Hat is epic. Yeah, it's an entertaining ride. It's a fun one to check out. I have been to Holiday World before, so I've been there a few times. Because you thought it was gonna be on the list. I went to it last year, and I went back this year. I will just say, if it were on this list, it would have been number 1 for me. But I already went last year, so that's why it's not on the list. But yeah, good mention there. Yeah, you were there the last day of Poseidon's Fury, but you didn't do it. Yeah, it probably was super busy, so understandable. Mythos. Yeah, really good food there. I did not have food at studio, so I actually can't comment on that. The only other food I had was either at Islands or on City Walk, but Mythos was definitely the best of the bunch. You liked Pantheon more. I have not ridden it, but Pantheon also looks like a really good ride, so can't complain there. Both in your top 5 though, so still pretty high. Obviously there. Light show on the side of Hogwarts was pretty cool. I have not seen that yet, unfortunately. Yeah. Is it mainly the multi-pass launch for Pantheon? And then let's see. Velocicoaster. And then yeah, I think that's pretty much it in terms of the countdown. So that's all I got. Wow, the countdown actually went a good bit longer than I had expected. So that'll bring us to the last little thing I'll do before final Q&A, which is future plans. I'll kind of recap what I mentioned earlier for those of you watching the stream. Oh wait, right, no, sorry. Before I do that, I actually have something I need to unveil, which is the Coaster Hour 2024 Bingo, which is a new tradition I plan on doing. Those of you who follow me on Instagram saw the early version of it that has been heavily altered. Basically, this is a silly prediction thing that I have created. We'll see how much of it actually comes true. Oh, can I not get it all in one thing? I would like to, but... Okay, come on. I gotta get it to zoom out. Okay, I don't think it's gonna come out all in one thing, which is a little oh wait, there we go. Yep. Alright, so just explaining what this is. This is not like a game. This is just like a prediction thing. But yeah, here's the Coaster Hour Bingo coming in 2024, or not coming, but like basically this is just a bunch of like predictions that I have heading into the new year as we're getting close. That are, some of them are not super likely, and some of them are kind of silly, but yeah, this is the bingo that I've come up with. Just something that I thought I would share before I posted it on the Instagram. But yep, this is like the list of predictions. We'll see what ends up happening with these. But that is the Coaster Hour Bingo. I'm not going to go through all of these individually, but just wanted to show it here that that's a tradition. I'm going to probably do this every year. I kind of got inspired from other Discord servers and other people doing stuff like this. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do one of these this year. So this is my official list. Got a good variety of things I'm putting on there. Yeah, so that's pretty much just a basic list of predictions. We'll see how this ages out. And now that officially brings me to my final plan, or future plans and final Q&A. So you can put in your final Q&A questions now. I'll just kind of be explaining some future things when it comes to the channel and stream that I mentioned earlier. So actually, and also I'll mention here again that if you haven't checked out my top 100 roller coasters list that I made on my secondary channel, Coaster Hour Beyond, make sure to check that out. It's a POV countdown that I put on there. So that would be much appreciated. But when it comes to the streams for next year, I'm hoping to do more guest streams. There was not that many in the second half of this year due to my own scheduling issues. So hopefully that'll be a thing next year. I'm planning to get more into that. And then I also mentioned this earlier. So for those of you who follow me for the news segment here on Coaster Time will no longer be an every time segment. Simply because it's like, it takes me the longest to set up of all the segments. And it takes me a really long time to do. But if you still want to follow, like you follow me for the news and theme park industry news, there's still a few ways you can get that. On my Instagram, I've kind of dedicated that to posting like stories that have the news, and I have them archived into like story archives. So you can look on my homepage on Instagram, and I have it labeled by month. And so that has all the news that kind of came out in that specific month, if that makes sense. So that's one way you can follow me for the news. And then also the Airtime Thrills Discord, which will be rebranded to Adrenaline Nation Discord, has a news thing of their own as well that I help out with. And that's another great way to get the news. That has like way more than even I put out. I kind of just help out with gathering some of the things there. But that's another great place for news. So just kind of wanted to mention those things. And then I also kind of want to go back into making videos again. Some ideas I threw out were random RCDB coasters, getting back into more research type videos, like under the radar coasters, countdowns. And then also would like to do potentially interviews, though those ones definitely will be few and far between. I mean, the schedule of the videos probably won't be consistent. I was saying maybe like once a month just to kind of get started back in, but I want to get into doing that again, kind of in exchange for like losing the news segment. Also because I want to get back into doing some videos. And then, yeah, that's pretty much all I got there. So we'll move on into final Q&A for sure. So what parks am I planning on going to in 2024? So, and also I just saw Charged on PC. Thanks for watching the stream. Happy to see you here and have a happy new year. But going back to the question, so technically there's not anything that's completely concrete. It is possible that I might do some, maybe at some point in the year next year, potentially the San Diego parks. I have never done Belmont Park. That might be a possibility in next year. Maybe revisiting SeaWorld San Diego. Those are potential things that could happen. And then outside of that, I'm hoping to go to Orlando once, if not twice next year. And if that happens, Disney World would be one of the, like the whole resort. I've never been, would love to go there. And then I probably would also fit in like SeaWorld, maybe some of the fun spots again, into one of those trips. So probably not Universal, just because I just went and it'd be before Epic Universe. But yeah, those are some things that are possibly happening. Outside of that, I don't really have anything else that that is like super on the radar, I guess, if that makes sense. Even those are not concrete at all, but those are some possibilities. Any guests I have planned to be on the channel next year? You know, you can send your recommendations. I'm not going to like give those away because, you know, that's something that scheduling wise, something could change and something could not work out. So I won't like say who I've talked to and who will be coming on as future guests, because that also I kind of want to keep it a surprise. But I do have a lot of guests who have never come on yet, who I've been in talks with over the span of weeks to months to even years in some cases. So there should be some good guests coming your way in the next year. But yeah, if you have any recommendations, I am definitely open to that. Q&A, you missed it. What park did I say that I worked at? It was Wild Water Adventure Park. Was the one that I worked at last year. Or did I say last year? It was not last year. Sorry, we're not quite in 2024 yet. During the summer, this year was it? It was the one of the two local water parks in my area. Mattel Adventure Park delayed again. Yeah, look, I'm excited for the park, and I don't mean to take a shot at them, but it's just like the infrastructure. It's just hard to believe it would open in 2024. Just kind of based off where the infrastructure is at. I'd love to be wrong, but it just feels like it would be a little afterwards. But I'm excited to check it out whenever it opens. And hey, if they prove me wrong, then more power to them. Any plans to come to the East Coast? That basically would be those. Our summer plans already starting to form. Those things would not necessarily. It depends how you categorize it. There's things in like there's not really anything super concrete with that. Times of year are also not necessarily concrete either with some of those, but we'll kind of see where that goes. I am not going to CoasterCon next year. I don't even know where it is. CoasterCon, like the ACE event. I actually, where is that? Oh, I see why you asked that. I didn't realize it was at in NorCal next year. No, I'm not planning to do that. Things could change, but that is not something that was on the radar. So I that's not something that I was thinking of doing prior to you asking. But did not know that I was going to be over there this year, so that's interesting. Top 3 remaining must-do coasters in North America. Let's see, off the top of my head, boy, I think at this point number 1's got to be Air Force One. I mean, I think I would actually have at number 1 over Iron Gwazi, because having done Lightning Run, I mean, it was a Joe Draves layout, and it looks so good. And I think it's kind of one of the more unique RMCs. So compared, I mean, to Iron Gwazi, it has some similarities to Zadra, though I've heard Iron Gwazi is a lot more intense. But I would pick Air Force One for 1, Iron Gwazi at 2. And then 3, I'm probably going to go with... that's a tricky one when you get past those two. Not another RMC. But I would probably go with... off the top of my head, I'd probably go with Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. Would probably be it. Yes, thank you for asking this. Yes, I do think Arthur Smith needs to be fired. Not to wish that for anyone to get fired, but this is the Falcons head coach. Yes, there needs to be a coaching change. I mean, he tied his coaching career to Desmond Ritter. I think that's all that needs to be said. At least, well, we'll see if that actually is what ends up happening, but that was his decision. It did not go well. Not even like, the offensive scheming issues and the play calling has been disastrous this year. So yes, I think he needs to be gone. I would say that. I am definitely in that boat. Which potential new credit am I mostly looking forward to in 2024? Potential new credit. I mean, based off the places that I mentioned, it would have to be Guardians Cosmic Rewind. I obviously have, if you've seen my rankings for like where I have coasters ranked, like my top 100 that I just released, you would know that Space Mountain is ranked very highly compared to where most other people would rank it. And Guardians Cosmic Rewind seems to be even like on a grander scale than that. Obviously with it being indoors, not necessarily as like in dark feeling per se, but still kind of similar in that sense. But I mean, the theming on it looks exceptional. It has a really interesting overall ride model and layout from my understanding, and the onboard audio obviously is going to be a huge help there too. So I would probably go with Guardians Cosmic Rewind. Assuming I am able to do Disney World next year, so that would be the one I'd pick there. And then Well, okay, those are a little different because must do in North America versus what is potentially planned. Those are different enough. So, no, El Toro would not be one of the top three actually. It'd be very it would be pretty close, but just not quite top three. Which 2024 season pass will you be purchasing this year, if any? That is still to be determined. Usually I get Six Flags. It just kind of depends on the on certain things, but I probably will end up doing a Six Flags season pass. Outside, but I might kind of wait to see if like the merger happens, see like if they release anything for a pass, just like information. And I'm probably not going to go to a ton of parks early on this year, so that would probably be the one I would go with. Outside of that, definitely I don't have any other plans per se on that one. Let's see, Park Hoppers Radio as a suggestion. Yeah, actually, I've talked to them previously, so that could be something. Good suggestion there. You cancel your Six Flags membership after about 4 years. That's fair. Although at this point, you're getting a sweet deal if you still have that, but that probably is going to get phased out. So to a certain degree. So in the next year or two. So yeah, hoping for that merge Cedar Fair / Six Flags pass. Assuming it happens, we'll get it, but that is to be determined in terms of when it will actually happen. And of course, the merger actually has to go through, of course. So we'll mention that. Final exams went really well. Very well. Did really well on all the exams. Still not sure of final grades yet because they still have until, I believe, the 2nd or something like that to submit the grades. And so certain classes it's not finalized, but I'm pretty sure I did very well in all my classes. And the final exams, I know what I got. And they went very well. So, yeah, I am very happy with how those went. Don't remember favorite dark ride. So this is, my favorite dark ride is Indiana Jones at Disneyland. And yes, I've ridden Rise of the Resistance. Some people ask that when I mention it. I have ridden Rise of the Resistance, and that is my number 2. But Indiana Jones is my number 1. I think the ride system is awesome. It's very thrilling for a dark ride. Very exciting. And the theming is also awesome. I mean, that scene with the boulder, especially, but also going through the temple and seeing all the different angles and just going through it. It's so awesome. It's a great ride. So that is my favorite. If you want like actually I'll hold off on doing a list, but I mean I guess Indiana Jones is 1 and then Rise of the Resistance is 2. Do I think Discovery Kingdom will come out with an announcement about Kong's future in 2024? I don't think we've kind of, I guess with Six Flags America, they did. It's kind of interesting. For Six Flags America and Riddler Revenge, they made it apparent that they were replacing the trains. Whereas with Six Flags Mexico with Batman, they just kind of put it on there and didn't announce it. I think Discovery Kingdom would probably do something more along the lines of like either repainting or maybe changing the theme to like coincide with the new trains. Because I assume that's probably what would happen to it. I don't think it's gonna in 2024, I think it certainly could be possible. Obviously not for 2024, I don't think at this point. But like in 2024, it's like maybe a 2025 thing. Yeah, I definitely think we could see that. I do really enjoy Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Definitely among my favorite of the classics there at Disneyland. So Very, very much enjoy it and would highly recommend it for anyone checking that out. With that being all the questions, at least that we have gotten, that I have seen up to this point, I think I'm going to wrap up the stream here. But if anyone has any final questions, I'll answer them, I guess, while I'm here. But, of course, with this being the 50th episode, once again, want to reiterate, thanks to all of you who have been watching for whether it's been really long time, like since like the early days of the channel or early days of the stream, to maybe more recent, like months to even weeks. Really enjoyed having you interact in the chat and really being along for the ride with these streams, and more to come in the future, of course. So awesome to make it to 50 episodes. We'll have to see what I can do for Coaster Time 100. This was a nice little special that I, cooked up. But if we get to 100, I definitely would want to do something a little bit grander. But still really fun stream to do. I mean, 100, obviously, that would be a huge one, so kind of got to go crazy for that one when we get there. But this one was, it was also very fun to come up with what to do with the ultimate quiz, looking back at buy or sell at the previous streams. That was cool to do. And then kind of just reevaluating and kind of looking into the future in terms of what I'm going to do with the channel and the streams. So all of that was involved. So very much appreciate it and appreciate all of you watching. And I guess that's pretty much all I got. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. Have a happy new year and happy holidays. And I'll see you all next time here on Coaster Hour. See you all.